Three teams gave each other the worst possible units in Fire Emblem Path of Radiance and then raced through the entire game in one go to see who finishes first. This is what we call a SOYO race. SOYO meaning screw over your opponent, and it was an absolute delight. If you want to see every overly long battle animation for yourself, I have got all the links of all the different perspectives you need in the description down below. In this video, I will go over the draft and the metagame for this first, and then I will cover the highlights of this 5-hour long race. You might also want to check out the recap of the Sacred Stones race if you missed that. That race was the first, and this race is the second of a 3-part series, so I've got more in-depth explanations in that previous video, but I will make sure it's not required watching to understand what is going on. The last race of the 3 will be in early December, by the way, so make sure you don't miss out on that one. So first, a little bit about the metagame and how my team perceived it. Path of Radiance is not a difficult game to beat, but it is a difficult game to beat faster than your opponents if they are experienced at the game, which everyone in this race was. The battle animations cannot be turned off and they are really slow, so minimizing those is of utmost importance. You want to minimize the fighting where you can, and if you do have to fight, you want to make sure you kill your enemies in one round. Also a big difference, Path of Radiance has bonus experience, which allows you to raise a unit in the base without fighting with that unit. Since this race is played on normal mode, the lowest difficulty, we got a very generous amount, so much that it's possible to raise a level 1 unit to promotion as early as chapter 12 or even 11. This makes for a very different metagame from Sacred Stones. In that game, training a unit that joins early but turns out good tends to cost a lot of time, and it's questionable whether that can make up for that in the later stages. Especially since in Sacred Stones, we get a lot of good free units like Ephraim, Erica, and Myrrh, who can carry the majority of the combat in the early and late game. Most maps in either games only require you to rely on like one additional combat unit for most of the game, often referred to as the carry, by the way. But now in Path of Radiance, we only had one free unit for most of the game, and that is of course Ike. And Ike on normal mode is very hit or miss. He starts off a little weak, but on average he does start doubling and one-running enemies sooner or later, depending on how lucky he gets with his strength and speed level ups. Now when he promotes, he is absolutely fine, and especially when he gets a Ragnall, he just destroys everything. But until then, Ike has a lot of disadvantages that he cannot fix by himself, even on normal mode. He's on foot, so he can't move very far every turn, and he also cannot move after attacking like mounted units can, so it's easy to get stuck behind a bunch of enemies. He has no one to range, so ranged enemies will keep taking free shots at him every turn if he doesn't take the time to kill them. And of course, because he promotes 2/3 into the game, until he's promoted, he caps his level and most of his important stats at 20, so no matter how much you train him, he can't improve. But his biggest problem is that the game nerfs him during the 4-part Seren's Forest arc, where during 2 chapters, he is forced to carry Leanne and cut his skill and speed in half. This effectively caps him at 10 attack speed, making him so much worse both offensively and defensively than any alternative. During our testing, we found that an Ike solo does eventually beat the game in a time that's like, okay, I guess, but it does feel like it takes forever, so you'd much rather have someone that helps him out before then. In this SOYO format, you're not going to get any of the units that join in the first few chapters, but the draft is going to take 7 rounds and people are going to have to pick better and better units, so at some point we figured our opponents would be forced to give us someone who joins at least before the Seren's Forest arc, who can assist Ike for the rest of the game. With that in mind, this is a very rough overview of how my team perceived the metagame and what units to pick before the race. I know some of this is wrong for those of you watching who watched the race or were in the race, but this is roughly how we saw it. The more to the top, generally the more likely we were to give him out early if we could. Whereas later on, we had a lot more dilemmas and a lot more uncertainty about which units were good or not. Of course, we didn't want to give out any of the units in too good because these are like all mounted units. And Boyd, who just joins way too early and is way too strong to just give to someone on normal mode. But like Paladins like Titania, Oscar, even Astrid and Maklov, and especially Flyers like Marcia, Jill, and Tanith were just way too strong to just give to someone in this race. And then the free units, everyone had access to those regardless of who they drafted, so we didn't have to worry about those. So this is what the draft was between. I'll go more into the individual units as we are going through the draft step by step, but real quick, I'll just highlight like the rough categories I've made here. So the late but bad category are units that just generally join too late to do much of anything, and we're probably not going to be good enough to warrant planning around. We were just happy to give them out and not really planning around them a whole lot. Alincia is like worth highlighting here because she's a game over condition. So I was hoping people would deploy her if they got her and then just get a game over and have to reset a chapter. Rolf is a very special case. The only unit that joins early that we didn't think was good enough to really care about. We heard that one of the other teams, Castle, really wanted Rolf. I think they were memeing around a little bit, but part of us was like, I'm kind of curious to find out if they actually figured out good strats for Rolf. But being an archer, he's not really capable of clearing entire crowds of enemies at once, which kind of disqualifies him as a good Ike support. A little bit good are units that have some kind of later utility in like maybe 1 or 2 more chapters or a portion of the game to be helping Ike, but join too late to help with Saren's Forest or other significant portions of the game. And so we were happy to give him out early too. Recruitment cost time is a category of units that, I mean, they cost time to recruit. That basically says it all. Some of them have more utility than others, of course. Early but need Bex is that group of units that in a game like Sacred Stones would be not viable for a draft race. Well, they probably would be with a bit of training, but in this game they'd be especially easy to raise up because of bonus experience. You promote them by whatever, like 1 chapter after they join, and then they just destroy everything, generally speaking. Even Mist can be made to promote early enough and contribute. So we'd rather not give these out, but we recognize that we probably have to give out 1 of them at some point if we got unlucky. Utility are units that get something special, some kind of support unit basically. The Thieves can of course get items, specifically desert items, and the Hawks can get the Night Ring and also provide some flyer utility that I thought would be pretty helpful. I didn't figure out a whole lot of these, but they do exist. We were totally wrong about the Thieves, by the way, but more on that when we're getting into the draft. And then the Lagoos, I didn't really do a whole lot of planning with the Lagoos. Of course, they lack the 1-2 range, so they can't sweep everything in Ike's way. But they join early enough to help out Ike where possible, so we'd rather not give these out, but we figured Moarm might probably come up somewhere. But Leith and Mordecai might not. You could like stack all the Lagoos on one person's team, of course. The funny thing about the Lagoos is they have different transformation gauges. Lethe can always contribute because she transforms early, but Mordecai, Marm, and any other Lagoos you might get, like Ranulf, all need a Demi Band to function. And so if you stack a bunch of Lagoos on one team, they can only have 1 Demi Band, and so you lose some utility there if you do that. So we consider doing that. But yeah, that's all the tiers. Let's get into the actual draft. Alright, the draft begins, same teams, and if you are astute and watched the Sacred Stones recap, you would also notice that it's the same order for picking. So Team FFO, abbreviated here, it means 4-fanged offense, picks for Team Dart, which stands for My Dart Will Go On. My Dart Will Go On will pick for Deliberate Bunga, which is my team, and Deliberate Bunga picks for 4-fanged offense. So exact same order, same people giving the units to the same people. But it's a coincidence, it happened by randomization, and we're just gonna have to roll with it. So first couple picks, once again in the SOYO, are not that important because the units that are being picked are probably going to be like negative utility to even use them at all. So to no one's surprise, 4-fanged offense gave Team Dart Shinon. Shinon is good early on, but the rules said that before Gatri and Shinon leave your army, they are free to use. So the only reason to have any easy, the only way to get anything out of Shinon when he's drafted is to re-recruit him with Rolf when he's there trying to attack you with a Brave Bow, and then kill him with Ike, which is obviously way too slow, and he doesn't really give anything back for doing it. So similar to Marissa from the Sacred Stones draft, he can't really help you very much. Dart gave our team Bunga Lucia. Very late joining unit, was free to give out pretty much. She does come with some good items like the Lagoos Guard, but that's pretty much the only item you care about. And that's nice, but she can trade it to Ike and then do nothing else, so she doesn't really provide any value there. There might be some use for her in the Eat Rock chapter. That one is going to come up a lot, so I might as well explain it now. Eat Rock is the chapter where the enemies are throwing rocks down at you, and they do 10 damage each. And it's one of the very few route maps in this game, and for that reason it's nice to have someone alongside Ike to kill things, or alongside your auto carry maybe. Might lead a secondary combat unit there. And Lucia, I know from a really old draft race she can kind of do that, but obviously she's going to be worse at it than most of your alternatives. And she joins very late, so very easy to give out. After some deliberation, we were giving units to FFO, which is Castle's team, and first of all we gave him Valencia because we figured the game over trap might work if they try to make use of her staff and flying. We didn't think flying would save enough time in the few chapters Valencia is available, and she just joins way too late to do a whole lot of impact. At the very least, if you give someone a late unit, they can only help in so many chapters. But then we were okay, we're going to give him Rolf. Because like I said, we didn't think that Rolf had it in him to really help out Ike early on. And sure, they can backspam up to level 1 sniper very early. but then he still would just attract enemies like all over the place. And if you have like Ike and Rolf going through the map together, all the 1-range enemies will attack Rolf, and all the 2-range enemies will attack Ike. You're just gonna get nowhere. So we figured this was a pretty safe pick, and we were like, okay, if they do have Rolf strats, you know, they can have it. They deserve to win. That's fine. That's funny to me. So we gave him Rolf, and we'll see if it pans out during the race. Now, next up came a bit of a surprise. We were expecting like Bastion or maybe like Largo or some other late game unit that wasn't really going to do anything. Instead, Dart gave us, on the second day of Christmas rounds, Soth in the 7-round draft. Now, in our test drafts, we had Soth and Volk come out a lot later, because we figured they can get you items. Now, when I say items, what it really just means is the boots in the desert. That's the only item really worth getting with the thieves. There is a couple of others that are possibly helpful, depending on what your team is, but generally speaking, you don't really need a whole lot of items to get through Path of Radiance. Turns out normal mode is not that demanding combat-wise, and there's some treasures that you do want to get, but you get a couple chest keys to get those. So he gets you like the next best chests, I guess. You also have to get through an info conversation to get Soth, but I figured that's like a 10-second time loss. On a really massive race, like a 5 to 6 hour race, that's not really relevant to me, an info convo. The reason they gave us Soth, you can't really do anything at combat, and the other teams, at least I know that the team that gave us this, Team Dart, was smart enough to figure out that you can get the boots without a thief pretty easily. All you have to do is just walk Ike to where the boots are found, and you might have to end turn a couple of times. You might get screwed and have to wait like 5 turns, but not a whole lot happens in that map, like the Lagoos transform and untransform, but not much else. There's not really a lot of time added for just taking your time to get more items there. So Soth was a pretty smart pick in hindsight. He didn't really end up doing anything for us. In fact, you could argue he cost us time. So this was a pretty good pick that, yeah, we would have given, maybe not a better unit that would have done anything, but it certainly was a choice. A smarter choice than we would have made, for sure. So we got Soth, and then for fact offense for Dart gave them Bastion. Now, Bastion, another late game pick, joins the same chapter as Lucia. Has a little bit more utility with Meteor and Corrosion maybe, but overall not really worth mentioning. Like, I don't know, I had one like test run where I barely even bothered to keep him alive alongside Lucia, because it's just not worth, but they exist. Next pick was a surprise though. Next pick was Ulki. I was very annoyed and surprised when Four-Fanged Offense gave Team Dart's Ulki. It turned out there was a good strategy behind it, but I was a little bit annoyed because I spend a lot of time trying to figure out strategies to use Ulki, A, for getting the Night Ring in the chapter where you can talk to Nasala with one of the Hawks, and he goes to talk to Raisin, and then you get the Night Ring, which can be used on Ike to advance a lot further every turn. I mentioned earlier, Ike cannot move again after attacking, but with the Night Ring he can. It's a pretty good utility tool. If you have the Night Ring and the boots, you basically have a mounted Ike, or another carry if you want to. You can basically just get yourself a Paladin. So I was a little miffed that they just kind of picked Ulki that early when, like, I don't know, there were a couple like later joiners that I think I would have given out here first, like Taronio and Kalo. But no, they gave him a Ulki. But there's a smart reasoning behind this, and you're about to figure it out. Now, Dart for Bunga did something that I don't think I've mentioned before in this. This is a concept called, I guess I'll call it stacking, like stacking the same utility for diminishing returns. I kind of mentioned it with the Lagoos, but in this case, it's stacking Thief utility on the same team. So if you give, let's say that the boots were only viable to get with a Thief. They're not, but let's say you're on an impression that they are. Once you give us Soth, we can already get the boots with Soth. So we don't get any benefit from also having Volk be able to get that. Volk is a little bit better at it because he has stealth, so enemies are not as likely to attack him. So it doesn't really change the plan enough to make, like, it's an extra unit, right? It could have been a different slot, a unit that does entirely different things, but instead the utilities is completely overlap. So they stack Thieves on the same team. We did figure that we could do that to another team, but we didn't think we'd get the Thieves on the online this early. So now we have 2 Thieves. Volk does do a couple things differently from Soth though. One great thing that he can do is he can shove Ike in the Astra chapter and Recruiter turn 1 potentially if we were to get other shovers. Not very likely, considering there's only like 3 other units total that can shove Ike at that point that are likely to be drafted. If that, there might even be less. I'm like not counting very well, but it's like Braum, Reese, who else even exists at that point? It's not a whole lot. So it's not likely to happen. 2, he's present for the prison chapter, chapter 10. And he can open prison cells without alerting the guards, and so he still keeps the stealth objective open. I know how to stealth the chapter with just Ike. Like I did actually a lot of testing work in the chapter with the prison, because I figured that it would come up with a couple of like drafted units, like someone like Braum gets drafted, I want to know how to recruit him with or without stealth. If we get Neffany, I want to know how to recruit her. I wanted to see if Volk will help me get anything that I wouldn't be able to get otherwise. And from what I'm testing, I figured that Volk makes it easier to both get the stealth objective and recruit Braum, for example. And you can also do that for Neffany. So, and if you want to get like Neffany without Volk, for example, you have to give up stealth and you give up a lot of bonus experience. You have to do some fighting. So Volk in that sense is a time saver. So once we got Volk, I figured they were probably not going to have to give us Braum or Neffany. I didn't think that was very likely anyway, the latter, because Neffany is like really strong if you can Expert up. But it limits their options a little bit later down the line when they have to give us something. So that was interesting. Then it was time for us to give 2 more units to 4-fanged offense, and we went with Ranulf and Tyronio because, as I said, late game units that don't do a whole lot. Ranulf is like okay stats for combat, but all the limitations that Laguz have seemed fine to give them Ranulf. And then we gave him Tyronio for similar reasons, like he doesn't really move very far. He's got like okay combat, but it's at the point where you get Tyronio, Ike is already promoted, he's already fighting everything. Same goes for Ranulf, so you don't really need a secondary as much. And Tyronio is also like notoriously not that good in the Mountain chapter, I believe, the Eat Rock chapter. So that's Tyronio. Then for Bunga, our team, Dart gave us Largo. The Berserker gave us a Berserker. Now, I was actually pretty happy to see Largo, considering the options that were left. He was probably the best pick to give us, but I was happy to be forced into him, because I had a little bit of experience using Largo in the Eat Rock chapter, and I found him quite fine with bonus experience up, so it gave us a secondary combat option for late in the game if we wanted that. Whether that's like relevant depends on the rest of the draft, of course. But he's fine. Of course, if we end up getting better units than him, then this is just a null pick, and it's like pretty strategically smart to give us Largo here. But it was a nice bit of assurance to know that at least the last couple of chapters we were going to have a secondary combat unit. But he is, out of all units left, probably the one that has the least utility left, so no surprise. Now here, 4-fanged offense stacked the Hawks on Team Darts, which again, pretty smart, because you know, if they have a plan to getting the Night Ring, for example, or they had a plan with like a smart rescue drop with Ulki or anything like that, now no other team gets that. So, for example, let's say they didn't give Yanov here, then someone else ends up giving Yanov to another team, then that team has access to those tools, and also Dart has access to those tools, whereas here, you know, now they're both here. I guess the Dart team could hope that Yanov would end up on their team. That could have been a thing they hoped for, but apparently not, and they had a different plan in mind, which I'll elaborate on again when we get there. And there is another pick here, and they gave out Joffrey. Now, Joffrey was in my late but good category. He's not like a fantastic super kill everything combat unit all the time, but you can bonus experience him up from base. He goes up quite fast. Paragon not super relevant because at that point you have so much experience, bonus experience, it doesn't really matter. But he's good at combat. He just joins so late that he can barely do anything. So I understood this pick. He doesn't really provide anything unique and special like Har does, for example. We'll get into that later. Or Khalil has some unique utility, and he also just doesn't join early enough like the rest of the units that are left. Like what's left at this point that's like viable to pick are like Soren, Mia, Ilyana, Mist, Leith Mordecai, Neffany, Braum, Zyhark, Tormod, Har, Khalil, Stefan, Muarem, Gatri, Devdon, Reese. Out of all those, I think Joffrey was a very good pick here. Now, Dart, I remember at this point they really took their time to figure out what the next pick would be, because at this point we're in round 5 and there's like no bad units left. There's some units that are like very unavailable, but then pretty good for that amount of time, and some units that joined very early that can reasonably just be a carry. And they ended up deciding to give us Khalil. I don't know if that probably had nothing to do with the fact that we already had Largo and they just wanted to see a married couple together. I think it's probably because Khalil is also not around a whole lot. There's one thing that Khalil can do that was the reason that we were not giving her out, and I'm sure that's like similar for them. Khalil joins with a Meteor Tome, and a couple chapters after she joins, I think it's like 1 or 2 chapters, there is a chapter that's Kill Boss behind a bunch of priests. It's the shelving chapter, the Kill Priests Babies chapter. You normally have to fight through most of those priests to get to the boss, but Khalil can just meteor, and if you get her up to a threshold where she kills the guy in 2 hits, what you can do is attack him from 10 range, revitalize her with Raisin, who is free, and then do it again, and then he's dead, and you just skipped a bunch of fighting. So a huge time save there, but she doesn't really present a whole lot. I guess if you don't have anyone else to help Ike at that point, you could consider Bexping her up, having her kill or anything. Another point that I should bring up for magic users now, while it's relevant, is that magic animations seem to be a bit longer than normal animations. I timed like Ilyana using Thunder against like Ike using a sword on an enemy. And in my rough, like I put them next to each other in a video editor, and the Ike animation was like, I think it was like 0.5 seconds or like something like that, or maybe 0.25, and the Ileana one was like 1.25. So that sounds like very little, but it adds up considering how much combat you have to do. Like if you lose time every time you fight something, that's quite a lot. Of course, it comes with the trade-off of having 1-2 range unconditionally, whereas like Ike doesn't even have that for most of the game, and most units will have to use like a javelin or a hand axe, which is fine, but they come with their own drawbacks. Whereas Khalil can just use like a fully powered, I don't know, Elf Thunder, Elf Fire, whatever you have at your disposal at that point. So, or Force Tome even. So yeah, I don't know exactly if this was the optimal pick or not. We got some utility out of her for sure. You do have to get her some levels of bonus experience, I think, to get her up to the 2-hit kill threshold. But it's probably still worth it doing that over fighting. But you might have to rig the magic level up. So her growth is only like 45%, I think. So kind of rough. Okay, now we had to deliberate for Team 4-Fact Offense because we had to give him 2 units and there's not many candidates left to give him for free. We ended up going with Marem and Stefan, and this is a point where we give out units there and they're like, oh, you're gonna give us this? Oh, thank you. Oh, that's so nice of you. What a mistake you just made there. Oh, like a little bit of a smack talk there. So yeah, Stefan is kind of hard to recruit since he's like far away in the desert. I figured when I was testing the Ike solos that the only really viable way to do so is to just have Mordecai and Lethe. You're allowed to use one of them to recruit him, by the way. You're allowed to deploy them if you have Stefan drafted. You just can't have them attack or counterattack, which is hard because Mordecai and Lethe cannot unequip their weapons once they're transformed. They just counterattack. And in order to avoid doing that, you have to either just be untransformed the whole way, which is not possible. Even Mordecai just ends up transforming at some point, or just avoid the Laguz ranges entirely. But once the enemy Laguz transforms, especially the birds, it's so hard. So what I did that certainly cost a bit of time is in my testing, I could accompany the Laguz to the upper right of the map of the desert, and then get Stefan and just walk back. It's slow. It's slower than getting like the boots with Ike, for example, but it wasn't like terrible, and it does give you Stefan, who is obviously really good. His problems overlap with Ike's with regards to like 1-2 range and mount, but just having a secondary unit available for Silence Force is just so nice. It's a really annoying pick to get and give out because we were not sure how optimally they would be able to recruit Stefan. But at the same time, we figured we didn't really want to give him the early units if we could help it. And then we gave him Warem, who joins for free and is just pretty good, but he can't carry at least. So I wasn't really happy about giving them Warem. He's just a good combat unit. We figured there was a bit of overlap between Marem and Renulf. Like you can use one demo band on either, but since neither of them start transform, you didn't really get both. You just get the utility of one there. But it was kind of a small thing. We should have really seriously considered giving them an early unit here. We should have given them like Ileana perhaps, and then give them another early unit, and that way they have to choose between 2 of them, and only one of them is going to have real utility, whereas both of these are likely to be useful to them, in addition to whatever we give them next round. Like we still have to give them a pick next round. This is something I think other teams did better than us, where they were more able to go in with a plan for the overall draft rather than just trying to pick the worst unit available at all times and end up giving out a unit like this that's just like good for any team regardless of what carry they get. And instead of having 2 picks that negate each other like Yanaf and Ulki or Soth and Volk. So I think we didn't make the optimal play there. I'll not spoil what happens in the draft itself, but I could say they can definitely got some utility out of Moram, of course, because he's free. Anyway, Dart spends a lot of time thinking again, because at this point, it's getting really tight. There is like 1.5 round left, basically. We get 2 more units, they get 2 more units, and then 4-Fact Offense gets 1 more unit. So the picks really start to count here. This is when the best units of this draft come in. After round 7, it is over. All the other units remain that go undrafted will just be unpicked, unusable for everyone. They end up going with Gatri. I was really surprised to hear it. I was expecting a different pick here for sure. I think looking at this again, I'll go into this a little bit, I think they should have gone with a different unit. But it ended up working out for them because they gave us Gatri, and like, yeah, now we have a guaranteed carry that can work for chapter 12 onwards, so we know we only have to Ike solo until chapter 11. Then we get Gatri, we can get Gatri turn 2 probably with this team on the Astrid boat map, and then bonus experience him up, and then we have a general. I think general animations might be a bit slower than most, but it does come with 1-2 range, the ability to just like never die, hold the Night Ward for a bit of extra resistance, and just kind of cruise through the game. It might be a bit slow-ish, but you know, not slower than having no one to help Ike, for sure. He would still be helpful. We could even give him the boots from the desert. We were trying to see, like, okay, do we give Ike the boots? Do we give Gatry the boots? What would be faster? We were fairly certain that Gatry was going to be our carry at this point. Like, no way are they going to give us a better unit than Gatry, right? So we had Gatry unlock, and now it was time for 4-ranked officer, I think, for Dart. And I was thinking, well, they'll probably give him, like, I don't know, they got to give him some kind of carry early on, right? Because what's left at this point is Soren, Mia, Ileana, Mist, Lethe, Mordecai, Nephany, Braum, Zyhark, Tormod, Reese, Devdon, and Har. Like, what are you going to give him? Well, they ended up going with Har, and if you'll notice, this team has no units that join in Chapter 17 or early. So they really want this last pick to be someone that you can use for the Sharon's Forest arc, or like at least somewhere, right? And if you look at the remaining units at this point, there are none. There are no units in my pool that you can get. Like I said, if you listen back to all the names I just named, all of them join before Chapter 17. So certainly they can't do it. No, they drafted Tanith. They gave Tart Tanith, which is insane because she is actually like a top 5 unit normally. She just, once you get her, you bonus experience her up, and she just destroys everything. She has 1-2 range javelins, she has 4 silver lances, she has flight, you can give her the boots, get a 10 move unit that just gets all your arrive objectives and all the siege objectives way faster than all the units can. So they were all in on this plan to deny them any units before Chapter 17. This does mean that chapters like 17, all the 17 chapters were going to be a hell for them. Like, Ike on his own, especially when holding Leanne, is going to do so poorly on his Transforce. But if they can make it out of there, they won't go out with a lead probably, but they will be, they'll probably be behind, but then they have like so much leverage to make up time with, thanks to the utility of Tana. Plus, like, they get all these other units with like anything they can do. Surely Joffrey can do something, surely Har can do something, surely Yanaf and Oki can do something. Right, is the way I would look at this draft at this point. But just having Tanith alone at this point is just like a massive advantage. You're saving like many minutes, perhaps even like 5 to 10 minutes per chapter once you have Tanith, depending on like how they go, what kind of chapter it is. Maybe I'm over exaggerating a little bit, but it cannot be overstated how surprised I was when I heard Tanith. But the Strands Forward arc, it sure was something, I can tell you that much. Anyway, time for Dart to give us our last units, and well, they were certainly not thinking about getting Tanith probably, so their picks should be wide open. They were also probably just stressing about like having to Ike solo up until the end of Chapter 17. They ended up going with Devdon, and just like with Ford, this has nothing to do with what may or may not be my brand. I've been an Executor for a while now, by the way. I don't actually like Devdon as my brand anymore, but that aside, they give us Devdon with the idea, and I heard this in hindsight, that he's kind of tough to recruit when you don't have a secondary unit to help out Ike with. Now, we did have Gatry, and you'll learn just how much of a pain it was to get Devdon recruited, but the payoff is, again, with like Tanith, is pretty good, because now you have a unit that can go into Serenus Forest, promote it. Oh, well, he's already promoted, but you can Bex him up to max level if you want to. And you can like forge javelins, and you can give him the boots and just rush through. And you don't have to do anything with Ike really, other than like the bare necessities. Plus, we still had Gatry to help out as well. So we had 2 units that we could use early on. And we decided strategically that actually it would be a bit of a mistake to like go all in on Gatry, like invest a bunch of resources and Bex into him, just to abandon him for Devdon or like train multiple units. It's certainly not going to help you very much to Bex up like multiple units at that point in the game. Especially because you don't really have to Bex up like Gatry to the max and then Devdon to the max and then Ike to the max, which is also something you want to do. So we actually decided to go based off this on a game plan to use Gatry as a bit of a flunky and then just full on switch to Devdon and Ike after Chapter 16 basically. That was what we were going to go with this draft, which we were quite happy with. But Devdon is tricky to recruit because he's in a pretty busy chapter and you have to use a child unit to recruit him. I think that from the top of my head that's Soren, Soth, Mist, and Tormod, and I think Rolf as well. Anyway, a bunch of fragile units. The best one out of them is Tormod, so because he has celerity. But it's not quite easy to do that when you only have the 1-range Ike to defend them with. It goes pretty slow. So I think it was a reasonable pick, but it does give us a really good 1-2 range weapon for the rest of the game. So it certainly came with a trade-off, and it's possible that someone like Ileana or Braum or Zyhark would be the better option. Like as in the worst option for us, as in a bigger pain for us. And now we have one last pick left to give to 4-Fanged Offense. Now they also don't have a great like early team or anything, but they do have Rolf as an option, I guess. But other than that, their first real combat unit besides Ike joins after the Desert chapter. Basically, Stefan and Warm join at the end of that, and they're fine. But I mean, there's literally no late units left we can give them. They gave them all to Team Dart, and so we were like, well, we can give them Lethe or Mordecai. Then they just don't have anything besides the Laguz, which is like fine. But Lethe and Mordecai are really good. Geene, one of my members on my team, said that Raisins in the last FE9 SOYO draft race got a lot of work with Mordecai, so that's why we're kind of apprehensive about picking him. I knew from experience that Nephany was really too good to give out. I didn't really want to give him Braum either, although they don't have Volk, so getting Braum from the prison chapter would be a bit of a pain for them, but it would also give him a one-to-range option that just doesn't die for the rest of the game, so kind of iffy. Zyhark would have been an okay option. Apparently he's pretty tough to recruit too without taking a penalty on Lethe and Mordecai by having them face legal combat. Similar reasons to Stefan, I guess. So all that was an option. All I know is I didn't want to give him Tormod because that's celerity plus 1 to range. This seems way too good. I knew from testing that Mist was way too good to give out because it's a mounted unit that you can just backsp up for chapter 11 and just be promoted and kill everything. Or at least like be good enough to just do that with and then have like a promoted Valkyrie for the rest of the game. We ended up going with Reese, and it's funny, when I came into the call and said, okay, our pick for your team, your carry will be Reese, and immediately one of the other team members, I think it was Joshua from Team My Dart Will Go On, said, yeah, we were just discussing in the call, and we don't think you should have given him Reese. I was like, uh-oh, you would make a mistake. And I didn't test Reese at all as a carry. We decided that he didn't seem viable to us as a carry because he seemed just a bit too slow to double reliably. He had like 12 speed on average after promotion, not taking into account like bans that boost your growth rates, the bans you get from New Game Plus, which were allowed. And we also figured that he would die every once in a while and you'd have to reset over him, or he might not double because A, his average speed is kind of low, and B, he gets weighed down by light tomes as well, so you'd have to forge minus weight onto them. The forges for those are also really expensive. I figured that Reese will probably be able to reach the magic to just 2-shot or even 1-shot enemies at some point, and that will probably be good. But I was also just really curious about how a Reese carry would do, and I figured some experience on their part might force them into optimizing. And I also thought it would be interesting if they had like spread their XP between Rolf and Reese. The smart play, which he ended up doing, is just forgetting about Rolf, but that would have been an interesting dilemma for sure. But that's how the draft went, so that meant that unpicked, I guess I can extend this a little bit. That meant that all these units over here went unpicked, which is a compliment. It meant that they were too good to be picked in this race. They were all too good. Okay, Tormod almost barely fell the page. There we go. So if your favorite unit is among these, congrats, they were too good to be picked in a SOYO race. But yeah, that's the whole draft, and let's get into the actual race. I'm not going to go over all perspectives in super detail because, boy, that would be 18 hours of content. But I'll give you the highlights. Alright, we'll start near the beginning, where actually a funny shenanigan happens right away. Generally speaking, the early game is going to be similar for all teams as they train up their Ike and wait for their carry to join. For My Dart Will Go On, that will take until Serenus Forest, or after that. We'll get Dunvid, or Dev Don, in Chapter 16, and 5-Fanged Offense will be the first to get an actual carry in Reese. This is probably a good time to introduce the main characters of today's story. First of all, the stream was done by wolfstrike. He captured all 3 perspectives and gave some neutral commentary, which I'm very grateful for. The race took like 6+ hours, if not more, so I'm really glad that he gave up so much time to do this, even if he's not a full-time streamer, which is why the layout is a little bit messy. But I'll have the streamers' own layouts when I highlight individual perspectives. We're playing on normal mode, in case that wasn't clear, and we're playing on random mode, not fixed, because with fixed level ups this would be a lot more boring. But there's going to be quite some variance in how different our Ikes turns out, as you're about to see. There's not too much to say about early game, especially prologue, but there's a funny optimization. Here's the starting pistol. Somehow 2 teams missed it, including mine. But 5-Fanged Offense caught it, and My Dart Will Go On caught it, and we're still going to be staring into the void for a while until we realize, hey, the other teams have started, we should get going, as the timer is already ticking upwards. So the only thing I really want to say about the prologue is that everyone needs to not forget to set their options. One option in particular I want to highlight is the auto end turns. The general consensus among speedrunners is that it's faster to do auto ends turns off. Even though it causes you to do an extra menu, it's still faster because this allows you to do a little trick called fast enemy phase, where you force the cursor you force the camera on enemy phase to move at the speed of your cursor the moment you end turn, which means that if you hold B in Path of Radiance while pressing the end turn button, it will scroll between enemies much faster. Now, because there's only one enemy in Prologue in Grail or Void at the time, this isn't really an issue, so I leave the auto end turn on for that one, and then I turn it off in Chapter 1. I'm not sure if anyone else made that adjustment. I'm actually not sure if it's faster or not, but I thought I'd mention that little tidbit there. But yeah, this is when the Ike story begins, so pay close attention to the level ups if you can. You're not going to catch all 3 perspectives and all their level ups, but the general trend I will try to keep you updated on. Probably a good time to highlight who's on each team, since I haven't really properly introduced them. My team is at the bottom right, Mecha, Klaire, Pyrope, and Geene. Pyrope was not present for this race, but I am doing the early game, and then Geene is taking over for the mid game, and Klaire will be doing the late game. Not sure exactly who did when on the other teams. I know Sal started out for Team 5 Fanged Offense, and then he's also being accompanied by Castle, Spam, and or Hues. And then my dart will go on. Joshua, Loudheart, Gluecks, and Justin are playing on that one. Justin was not present for this one, he's on vacation, but from what I can tell, he had a good vacation, so glad for that. And but Loudheart and Gluecks, I think both will be playing at some point. Everyone has like a little different approach of Chapter 1, which I found interesting, but I don't know the exact details of why everyone decided to play it the way they did. But I'll let you know about my ideas. Generally, I wanted to minimize combat, but still train Ike and find a balance between those two things. It's kind of curious with Ike's level ups. I noticed that my dart will go on was so invested in their Ike in the sense that they wanted to use him as much as possible early on, to the point where they kind of slowed down their Chapter 1 and actually going to take their time to route the enemies near their starting point. I think they did this specifically because they have to Ike solo all the way through Stranger's Forest. I'm not actually not sure how wise this is, but you can see the logic, because the more Ike fights early on, the more chances he has to get good levels, and so he skips more combats later on. But at the same time, if you level your Ike so much that he like level caps before Chapter 8, you lose the opportunity to give him bonus experience levels. And bonus experience levels in this game are random, unlike in FE10, where they always give you exactly 3 stats. They are just exactly the same as normal level ups, but you get to rig them through just saving and resetting, which is something they actually ended up doing, so they were aware of it. But they still decided to give as many levels to Ike as possible. Now, I found that on average, Ike is fine getting the level ups that he does if you just play chapters about as fast as you possibly can, skipping combat where possible. I do like the 5 Fanged Offense setup where they had Ike next to the boss, what is it, like turn 3 or it's turn 4, and they already had him there, whereas I think I was taking a little bit longer on the bottom right. Now, part of that is because I missed the Myrmidon, I think, twice with my Steel Sword. That is the only way I could find to two-shot him, unless the Ike was like, I don't know, +2 strength, +2 speed maybe would do it with an Iron Sword. But yeah, that's the drawback of using a Steel Sword, I guess. I can't complain. But yeah, they're going to kill the boss much sooner than we are. I think they stick around for 1 turn for training, and which allows me to kind of catch up there. A little tiny optimization that I did that I think ends up saving time is that I had Titania go to the Angelic Rope village on the left side, but I didn't visit it yet, and this causes the brigands that try to destroy it to just kind of uselessly sit around and not attack for a little bit. They eventually do end up being aggressive, but it saves attack animations, and as I've said earlier, that's really the main way to save time in this game, is just to save combats if you can. Titania is not allowed to be used for any team, of course, and neither are any of like Boyd and Oscar and Soren. They all went undrafted, and so they're not allowed to be attacking or counterattacking, which includes accidental counterattacks. So you gotta make sure that they don't accidentally end up in range of enemies and equipped. Generally, they'll prioritize like Ike over Titania, for example, but you gotta be careful because sometimes yeah, will do strange things. Alright, so here's Sal starting on Chapter 2, and in this chapter, it's an Ike solo, but you do gotta keep everyone else safe. Sal makes an unfortunate mistake right away. He has Oscar rescue Reese, which is not allowed because Reese is drafted. He's useless at this point. Like, you never really want him to heal or anything, but it still means that Oscar's not allowed to pick him up, so he has to do the first reset of, I think, this relay session. And I made plans for this a little bit. There's a chapter later on where you need both Reese and Soren to walk out of enemy range, and you have the option to rescue one of them with Titania. And I made sure to always be like, okay, just make sure that Soren is the one that gets rescued, because he's never going to get drafted in this kind of SOYO. while Reese is the one who ends up walking manually, that avoids a penalty. But it, these things happen every now and then. It was like a 5-second reset or whatever it was, maybe 10 seconds, but it's not a big deal in a game like Path of Radiance. Generally, I would be much less worried about like not optimizing things in this game when you're playing, because the game is so long that it's much better to have a much like generally good plan than it is to like make the fastest button inputs ever possible. Like, the race is so long, just have a good general plan. I put a lot of time into making early game turn by turns personally, but that generally involved just be like, okay, find one way that works most of the time and then just learn how to execute that consistently. And that was about it. I never really tried to optimize it beyond like something that worked and seemed like the fastest possible way. I guess one bit I should highlight though, other than the fact that their Ike is like just one running crazily right here. I think everyone got good Ikes at this point. The important part for early game soloing and combat in general, got to get punish strength, nice. One of the most important parts is that you avoid healing animations, and some enemies carry around vulneraries. So what's very important is that if an enemy ends up being low in HP on player phase, they will tend to run away and make you take the time to chase them, or they'll go to like inconvenient positions. So it's very important that you try to, like, if you 2-round an enemy, simply have them come to you on enemy phase, like Sal's doing here. And then if they end up surviving the combat, which I guess this guy will not. Okay, he will actually. Okay, good example. Then Sal can just kill him on player phase, and then move to the next guy, heal up on a vulnerary on player phase. Just never give an opportunity to run up and heal. Sometimes this can help you, but generally you want to avoid healing AI. You want enemies to die ASAP and not waste your time moving around, healing, trading around vulneraries, just being annoying. And what you just saw was from 4-fanged offense or 5-fanged offense, and this is from My Dart Will Go On. Would you believe it that I just showed you the worst Ike of the three? My Dart Will Go On has this insane Ike. Just watch as he levels up off these guys here. Come on, Intern, thank you. The menu can be a little bit finicky. I don't think they ever missed a strength level up until like level 16, and roughly the same goes for speed. Watch this. They have 10 strength, 10 speed. It goes up to 11-11 right here. He's one-rounding everything already, and they need it. They only have Ike to last for like the entire, like the first 2/3 of the game is all Ike, so they more than need this. But oh my god, did they have to go this hard on it? This is helpful because he's going to one-round things. He's not going to get stuck. The 2-range problem and the lack of movement problem and the Seren's Force problem in part 3 and part 4 still remain, but I imagine they were feeling a lot more at ease knowing that their Ike is like one-rounding generic enemies and almost one-rounding bosses at this point. Like, I actually think if he's using the Steel Sword here, I think he might have one-rounded this chapter 2 boss right here. Absolutely wild and insane. And one chapter I want to highlight a little bit is this one that 5-fanged offense is playing right now. Chapter 4, I do believe. It's the one where you get Soren for the first time and you're able to use Shinon and Gatri, who are free, again, just to emphasize. And I think everyone had a bit of a different turn-by-turn, but everyone had a good plan going in. And I think for the other two teams, it involved, like the other two teams besides the one you're watching right now, it involved Shinon getting in range of the boss and his Javelin. And for 5-fanged offense, what they could have done is also do that on turn 1, actually, by having Reese, Gatri, and Ike all shove Shinon into position. He could have just gotten a turn 2 clear if he got like a double crit, or maybe a single crit would be enough. But they have a different plan that I guess Sal was just like not expecting to get Reese, or didn't. Maybe either they didn't know about the shove or they just forgot about it and decided to execute their plan for if they didn't get Reese, because you can't count on getting him, of course, especially not in the SOYO. But what they do is they bait most of the enemies into attacking unequipped Shinon and Titania in a way that occupies them all. And I think the idea is that this lets Ike bait the boss over because he's unimpeded and he just walks up. I'm not sure if this always works. Shinon, of course, will attract enemies because provoke and unequipped. And unequipped Titania sometimes will not get attacked over unequipped Ike depending on the defense differences. But I think most enemies that could attack Titania could not reach Ike. So Ike is able to go over here and just make sure he's at full health, I guess, or use the Speed Wing. And I think their plan is just to have him do it on his own against the boss, because it doesn't look like there's any plans to free Titania. Let me fast forward this enemy phase a little bit, because it's going to take quite a while for all these animations to happen. But Provoke Shinon is quite a tool. Of course, if an enemy is going to stay in your way, it's faster to kill them than to have them attack Shinon, but if you don't need the enemies dead at all, and you're only going to be here for like a couple turns, then it can very well be faster to have Shinon and Titania just take all these attacks and not counterattack. So a big of an exception to the rule of like, if you're going to fight, you should kill the enemies. Now I think Ike has a bit of an unfortunate matchup against this boss. I don't think he ever one rounds with the Regal Sword, not even that ridiculous one that My Dart Will Go On has. And this Ike is looking problematic actually. Only doing a little bit of damage. Let's see if he levels up off this soldier. What do they got in there, Ike? Yeah, 7 strength, that's not great. 15 speed is very good, and I think his defense is also looking nice and shiny. Oh, the boss doesn't even get in his range. That's huge, because then he does get javelined. But they have enough defense to survive a bunch of hits anyway. So yeah, if I got hit here, I think there might be like a chance that some enemies would go for him over Titania, given that he's low HP and weapon trial disadvantage. But as is, it doesn't look like he's in danger. There's a chance you send the boss into healing AI if you attack him on player phase, but it doesn't look like this Ike is gonna be doing that anytime soon. I do wonder how they would have tackled this if Ike had done more damage and the boss would end up below a third of a health and just runs into the healing forest. I guess he would still be in killing range. He doesn't have a vuln, unless he would trade for one maybe. But anyway, it looks like a pretty clean plan that works regardless of your draft. I do think the plans that the other teams had were better. I want to show off one more just to like highlight how fun it is how interesting it is that people play these chapters completely differently. And if I found this one first before my other plan, I definitely would have gone with it, because it looks pretty consistent as long as your Ike has like these stats roughly. Yeah, so that's an exact 2-round kill. That's pretty good. I don't remember if healing force give a point of defense. If they do, that actually wouldn't have worked. So maybe there was a better plan possible. But hey, it worked. And he didn't get strength again. Cringe. 7 strength Ike. Keep that in mind for 5 banked offense. Yeah, so here goes my plan. My idea is, okay, if I don't have Reese, I still want to use the Shinon plan. I just want to use it as soon as possible, but with not enough shoves, you can't do it turn 1. So I'm just going to try and get to that as soon as possible while facing as minimal combat as possible. So what I do is, Ike and Gatri are the only ones who are allowed to be in enemy range. Like that's, yeah, I mean, Shinon is allowed to be, but I don't want him to be. So I just move everyone else to the top right corner. This is what I was talking about with Reese and Soren earlier, like rescuing, well, in my case I rescued Reese, but I had like a backup plan for like reversing their positions if I needed Reese to be the one who moves to the top left, or the top right, excuse me. Anyway, I can get through. You're going to take care of some enemies. This chapter is known for like a lot of enemies moving towards you, but I did some testing and it looks like most enemies will not move unless you go in their range. So I just fight these guys with I can get tree, and I would prefer to fight less, but I didn't really see a way to. And instead what I'm just going to do is kill the closest enemies, the ones that will be most likely to interfere with the rest of my team. I can get tree are bulky enough to face these enemies head on. Soren's got to move away again though, otherwise he gets attacked by, I think, the fighter that's attacking Gatri right now. And Gatri and I combined will almost always like 2-shot enemies. And this turn is even more mild because I just need them to all weaken these enemies, and then next turn Shinon can step in. And Shinon, from his starting position, was only 1 square away from being able to get shoved into the boss's range for enemy phase. So what I can do here is I can kill most of these enemies using Ike, Gatri, and Shinon's turns. I can't use Soren or Titania, or else I would. And we'll leave one enemy alive. I think I did some hesitation on like what to kill exactly, but it doesn't really matter all that much. There's probably an optimal one to kill, because I remember there was like, if I don't kill the fighter, he like runs back to the spot I need to go on and vuln up or something, but whatever, I have ways around that. I think I decided to kill the soldier, and the fighter runs away to vuln, and it's all good. But at this point, this position for Shinon puts him in the same position relative to that square he needs to go to the magic square, if you will. But now that fighter gets in the way, he's like, oh shit, that sucks, but whatever, we can just put Shinon here anyway, do the manual move so I don't have to shove him. And yeah, now the fighter moves out of the way, gets the vulnerate from the enemy soldier, and now Shinon can just be moved into position manually. And no shoves necessary, because it's pretty easy to remember that you can just use that force to move Shinon right where he needs to be. And now, yeah, he's going to get attacked by a couple soldiers, and I think if you don't vuln him, there's like a very small chance that he dies, because he does face a lot of attacks, but Shinon is so dodgy, like all these enemies have like maybe 20, 30, 40 hit on him. There's no way that ever happens. And eventually Shinon will just be surrounded and only the archers can reach him. And he does need to stay equipped because he's got to counter the boss. I have one time where I accidentally equipped his iron bow instead of steel bow, and that is very cringe. Gotta make sure to use the steel bow. And I think he has like 22 crit on the boss. And if he double crits, he 1 rounds. If he single crits, he can kill him on player phase afterwards, so you save a long enemy phase. But you can see I only had to fight like 4 soldiers this way once, and then I had to kill a bunch of enemies, like 5 enemies at the start. But that was also experience that I will get sooner rather than later. And yeah, Xenon gets a crit actually with the steel bow. And now I can finish off this boss without taking a counter. I didn't time it, but it feels like this is faster than fighting almost everything on the way there. But yeah, that's cool. And what's it called? My dart will go on. Didn't do this exactly, but it did end up with Xenon in roughly the same spot, and I was actually able to defeat the kill the Ike. So he had a pretty cool plan too. Okay, so 5-fanged offense with Sal still at the wheel is coming up in chapter 6, and this is a rough map for Ike. Yeah, again, he has to do it all alone. Titania can help him by running around unequipped, but she can't really do a whole lot besides blocking enemies and doing extra combats. And there was some like debate over whether it's better to go left or right. My plan was going right, their plan was going left. I'm not sure which is better. I just tried out a plan that worked and just left it at that. The problem is that this is a bunch of enemies, a lot of them that have 2 range, so I cannot counter. I'm gonna slow it down a little bit because I feel like I have to talk so fast if I see everything move so fast. So the issue is that Ike by himself can usually like survive a couple enemies, but eventually he has to vulnerate. And depending on how bad your Ike turned out, it can be a hell. My least favorite enemy is the Javelin Soldier that's like harassing Titania right now. Ike can often like fail to like 2-round that guy, or even if he does 2-round the guy, it's still so many rounds of combat he has to face where if he phones, it just doesn't end up in a better spot. You get 1 elixir up to this point that's like very good to use. This is a very interesting approach that looks a lot faster than my plan if it works out, where Titania distracts all the enemies from the right side, while Ike just calmly walks through to the left. Unfortunately, I think they still haven't leveled up strength since the last time. Yep, they still got 7 strength at level 12, and they just missed another point. That is very unfortunate, especially because the boss area is super hostile to Ike. There's 2 Javelin Soldiers flanking the boss. That's another Halberdier with another 2 range weapon, I think a short spear. So no matter which spot Ike attacks from, he's just facing at least 2 attacks on enemy phase, and it just presents a very rough trade-off for him. And meanwhile, he's also getting harassed by other enemies, but they do make it there pretty fast. I think partially this is because their Ike has good defense, but they got there really fast. I'm really surprised, because I usually take forever to like kill almost everything on the right side of this map. I can see why people want to go left now, actually. But thankfully our Ike was good enough that he went through the right side with no problem. But yeah, they're about to make it. But you can see, like, if you want to attack the boss, you face 2 Javelin Soldiers and their attacks. And if you want to kill a soldier beforehand, you face like the short spear of the boss several times before you can kill that soldier if your strength is bad. And again, you can't really take a turn to Vuln because you just end up taking more damage in the process if you're unlucky. So now Titania is surrounded by a bunch of enemies. Ike is right in front of the boss, and he does like 5 times 2 with the steel sword. Looking kind of sad. And he got a strength level up just in time. As Titania is here, decides not to Vuln, takes an extra turn for Vulning. He only has 1 Vuln left, you might as well make it count. So here Ike, yeah, he only takes 1 damage from these soldiers. So defense is not a problem for this Ike. The problem is offense. He did like 5 damage times 2 with the steel sword, right? Well, if he hits, that is 6 damage now. Very nice. And Titania gonna take another hit. There is a Poleaxe Cavalier, but it looks like he's being blocked out by all the other 1-range enemies. So you don't have to worry about that one. I always find that Poleaxe very funny. I do try to kill him with Ike beforehand though, but it looks like they didn't need to. Although maybe now if he now he moves and he gets to attack. Oh god, that's 14 damage. She's got to heal now, and she might still not survive even if she does heal, because that's 14 damage from the Poleaxe. If the other enemies can add up to, what's it like? Yeah, like 2 damage is all that's needed to kill Titania, but he's gonna try, right? Ike goes for another attack. He does really well with his high defense here though, so Ike is not the problem here. The problem is Titania. Titania heals her last vulnerary and turns. Maybe he'll heals a bit, but he should die to the next attack. Oh, he grabs a Vuln from another soldier. That's annoying. So now he's at 20 HP and no progress made. That is unfortunate. And here's Titania. Gets hit. So now she's in kill range for the calf, but he might not reach. Oh, and she counterattacks. So what happened here? Very smart to quickly reset there. Not thinking about why that happened, just knowing it happened. What happened here is apparently in Path of Radiance, if you use your last vulnerary, or last use of like an elixir, I assume, then the game auto-equips your weapons. I've had this happen before in like a defend map where I was just like having Ike sit on a point and do nothing, and suddenly he has a weapon equipped when he shouldn't have. That's probably a result of them trying to auto-equip a weapon after the last one breaks, but I guess it extends to items. Really unfortunate, because using Titania when she's undrafted results in like a 30-minute penalty or something. I think the same goes for every character. Sometimes we'd have special penalties for Titania because she's so impactful. But yeah, that's a reset, because surely a reset is going to be less than 15 minutes on the clock. Really unfortunate to have this do such a long chapter again. I heard of this happening, but it looks less bad now that I look at it than it actually was, because their Ike has such good defense that he doesn't really have to slow down to kill all the enemies. So that probably cost him like 5, maybe 10 minutes, which is a lot of time, don't get me wrong. It like absolutely sucks, but at least this I can carry it. The bad part is though is that they lost that point of strength they gained at last, so he has to get that again. But you know, it's like a 50% growth with that fighter band of his that he's got, so they should be able to get it again. So here goes Ike into the wild again. Fortunately, these enemies don't move until they spot you outside of the forest, so you have a bunch of free time to move towards the left, which is partially why the left side might be faster than the right side. I like going to the right side because I feel like the enemies there are less threatening somehow once I get there. And again, it's just a vibes based thing, but it's very possible that most Ikes are faster going through the left. I didn't really do research on this. So we find ourselves in a familiar position with Titania taking some damage from enemies, and once again enemies being quote-unquote smart enough to open up the spot for the Axe Cavalier to attack her. But he does cancel away, so maybe she'll be safe next turn. 23 HP should be enough to survive long enough for Ike to get rid of the boss. Although this Myrmidon taking chunks of 4 out of her health is not helping. And it looks like this time they decide that Ike should fight these soldiers. That might be because he didn't get the point of strength yet, and so the boss gains more HP from healing than Ike can reasonably do in a turn of enemy phase plus player phase. I don't know though, do you think he does more? But I know from comments that Sal made that they did have to do this. So hopefully they'll get their point of strength here. And defense will be welcome as well, of course. Yep, 8 strength, 13 defense, looking good. I mean, looks better than it was before. It still is like a really bad Ike strength-wise. And strength, arguably his most important stat. If you have sufficient speed, you're usually good. But if your strength is like bad like that... Ugh. Anyway, X-Cav doesn't get to attack, so Titania gets to remain with roughly... It's probably going to end up with like 11 HP. That's... I mean, it's going to be enough as the X-Cav if the X-Cav doesn't get to attack. But I guess the heal here. You could have done with an elixir there, I think. But, you know, who am I to judge? This time Titania has a full vuln, so no accidental equip here. Just heals to 21, if I'm not wrong. Another example of healing AI. If an enemy sees a priest on the map they can have to heal from, they will often do that. And here Ike does 6 times 2 to Emil. I think they also need the point of strength to double, actually. That's why. Because without... He just wasn't doing enough damage with the Iron Sword. And so they needed the point of strength to double with the Steel Sword. That was the reason why they really needed the point of strength. That explains everything. I remember it now. So Titania, once again, tanking the hits, just sitting there. I think there's probably a threshold where it does become better to kill these enemies with Ike. I think what I usually did is kill the enemies on the right side, and then the left side enemies come to you for the most part. And the ones that don't will come to you near the end, but by the end you can just run away from them. And so you don't have to face a bunch of unarmed combat with Titania. Especially if Ike takes this many turns to fight the boss, there's definitely a good chance that killing them with Ike earlier saves more time than having them wail on Titania over and over. But again, this is something that's tough to improvise, so I'm not going to fault anyone for making a more time-costly decision during a race. This is just my observations. Okay, Titania will be fine, right? 13 HP. The X-Cav can get her now, but again, these enemies have no reason to give the X-Cav any space. Titania's not injuring them, so heal AI would never trigger. She's not going to kill them because she's unequipped. So I don't know how this could ever go wrong. Like, it seems fine. I mean, she's taking up a ton of damage. She'll have to fall in again, probably. So Ike can... I mean, he doesn't kill yet. Can he safely go for it? Oh, he's going to kill the priest so that he doesn't heal the boss. I don't know if he would ever do that, but it looks like he can walk to where the boss is and heal him there. So if that thief ever feels like it, that could probably happen. Get another point of strength and defense out of it, so that's really good. 14 defense is a lot. Ooh, he accidentally waited instead of using a vuln, I think. I do remember him saying he did a misclick there. So Titania's going to have to dodge, well, the Myrmidon now, basically. She doesn't dodge the Myrmidon, she's dead. Archer hits for 1. Javelin Soldier misses. Javelin Soldier. Oh, the Javelin, the normal soldier gets her. That's a dead Titania. Now, I mean, if it wasn't for next chapter, that would be totally fine, because it's not like Titania is allowed to be used. But next chapter is the only chapter where Titania is free, chapter 7. And she does a lot of work there. And like that's the long chapter with like Shinon and Gatri returning and Mia joining. You really want Titania there. But do you want to reset this chapter over this? Like, after getting that point of strength and defense? After all that? Probably not. And so they're just going to have to Ike solo next chapter too, which is going to take even more time. But I think it was the right decision not to reset for Titania. Because, like, how much time is Titania saving? Maybe she saves, like, 2 minutes, 3 minutes over Ike solo? Maybe? Maybe more, maybe less, I'm not sure. But again, you also just need that level up that you got. Like, you need that strength defense, probably, to survive all of it. So, yep, Emil gets killed. Maybe another good level up. Ugh, no strength or defense, that sucks. Discard the short spear. They need Ike to live, but I'm pretty sure there's no way these enemies can kill him. Worst case, the Myrmidon gets on the square and doesn't die. You'd think that's not possible with this Ike, with this much speed. And, like, the amount of damage he was doing to the boss. Okay, Myrmidon doesn't see the tile as something he wants to stand on, so he just goes for a direct attack on the right. And now Ike can escape. But, oh boy, that was a costly Chapter 6, both time-wise and unit-wise. Rip in peace, Titania. I know what it's like to get Titania killed. It feels bad. Shucks for Sal. Shucks for Sal. Next highlight. So I thought before we move on to the mid-game, we'd take a quick peek at the Chapter 8 base, where you can Bexp up your Ike to 20 or however high you want it, starting with ours. So, of course, every base you want to forge a steel sword, and I think pretty much every team remember to do that every single chapter, with slightly different preferences. First off, you want to sell most of your bands except for the Night Band, because that's the best one to give strength and defense. And then it's time to Bexp Ike up. So at this point, we have a pretty good Ike, like nothing to complain about. I think he was overall like above average already. 40 strength, 15 speed is just like as good as you can possibly hope for. So here come the level ups. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit. So we got 16 here. Speed, pretty good. Next one. Strength, speed, skill, really good. Strength, speed, pretty good. And strength, again, pretty good. And there you go. That's our final Ike. Max HP thanks to Angelic Robe, but still, 19 strength, 15 skill, 20 speed, 13 defense is like about average, I think. And 6 res was also a standout stat. Somehow my man got several magic and res level ups. So it's a pretty good Ike. Let's see what the next one's got. So here's 5 Fanged Offense and their Ike. They're at level 18, so they've got a couple to. Look at that, 12 strength now. I love how they're not even saving for this. Like, they're not rigging strength. That seems kind of insane to me. But there you go, they got strength both times anyway. Let me capture the exact stats that they got. That is a different Ike, alright. That is 13 strength, which is so bad. But then they have nearly capped HP, and then they have maxed out speed at 20, 17 skill as well, but then 19 defense. They have the Armor Knight Ike. That's insane. If that strength was better, like once they get the energy drop, they'll be fine, but oh my god, that's terrible. So Dart's team here, again, setting up their base, and they're like, well, let's do some Bexping. They're at level 16 somehow. They didn't cap out yet, but they got 18 strength, 18 speed. But what they really want is defense. They have 9 defense at that point. They don't have a whole lot. So they actually decided here to reset until they would get defense, which I reckon is a good move. But it is the first thing they're doing in base. I feel like when I'm in these base segments, I always want to do like the straightforward stuff first, and then do the Bex resetting thing, just so I don't end up forgetting. But there you go. There's strength, defense, pretty good. So they're gonna save and try again, and just basically just keep doing that until they get defense, because that defense is awful. You think, well, you just muscle through everything, you just kill everything in one round. What's the problem? But you know, turns out if your Ike dies, if you suffer some success, you still get a game over all the same. Here we go, level 19, another point of defense. They get pretty good luck. Like, the defense growth is only, what, like 30-40% with the band? Oh, they have to do one reset here. They still got 20 strength, skill, speed, though. That's insane. I'm glad no one got, like, unusually bad Ikes. Like the Ike that 5-fanged offense got is the worst one, and that's the one with 19 defense. I think that says a lot. It'd be really unfortunate this race just like straight up came down to, you know, one person getting a good Ike and the other one's getting bad Ikes. But this strength level up is going to take a little while. Holy shit, though. That strength and speed is massive. That's that Radiant Dawn Ike. But yeah, you get the points. They're going to get the point of defense eventually and then have like an all-capped Ike. And so we are now in chapter 11, Blood Runs Red, and 5-fanged offense just got a huge amount of Bex from escaping stealthily from the prison chapter, which means it's time to bonus XP up Reese. Now let's see if it was a mistake to give him Reese at all. The problem with Reese that I think I mentioned before is he has low HP, low defense, and lowish speed to the point where he usually doesn't double. They gave him the Paladin band for 5% extra speed growth, and look at it paying off. He already went from 9 to 11 just in 2 level ups. And somehow I don't think he's done here. This is the point where you usually have enough Bex to promote anyone you ever want. It can be Mist, it can be Rolf if you really want it to be. You probably don't. And, you know, if all you have other than this is Ike, then you might as well say, I'm a healer butt. And he's getting so much speed. 13 speed, and it looks like he's about to cap magic before promotion as well. It's so huge in Path of Radiance that you can just promote at level 21. You don't need to wait for a Master Seal. We got 19 magic here. Hey, don't report the stream. Hold up, don't report me. What do we got? 20 magic? 20 magic, 14 speed. It's insane. They capped res as well. As irrelevant as it is nice to have a character that doesn't care that much about enemy magic attacks. I don't know how far they can go beyond promotion. I know from my testing that Mist can just like barely promote here. If I even held back on Ike a little bit to promote her here. But Reese has a higher starting level, I believe, than Mist, and so he's a little bit more flexible in that regard. Having a promoted unit at this point, especially one with 1-2 range, is actually huge. So I probably should have given them at least Ilyana instead of Reese. The big drawback to Reese, other than that I thought his stats would be insufficient, I thought would be attack animations. The magic animations, as I think I've mentioned before, take longer than physical animations. And so I thought that might slow him down a lot. It's like a second per combat or so, maybe a little less. But what I didn't factor in there that I think I should mention at this point, as they're getting even more insane level ups, is Reese can sometimes one-shot things, whereas physical characters will often two-shot enemies, especially if it's Ike. So if Reese ends up one-shotting, I'm pretty sure that might end up being faster, because not only is there one animation instead of two, but there's also a bit of lag when you're trying to double. Looks like they're done getting speed for now. They still have a bunch of Bex left over. That's a lot. I wonder where they got all that. Maybe they didn't have to Bex Ike as much as I usually did. It's probably worth Bex being here if this is the experience you're going to get anyway. For one, you're closer to getting rid of the XP bar. And two, if you reach a threshold where you one-shot enemies, that's pretty good. Like, the stats are just going to help you in all the upcoming combats, so it makes a lot of sense. What I want to see is how he performs in the chapter. So this is an Arrive chapter, Blood Runs Red. This is a chapter with the Black Knight coming from the house. And because it's Arrive, that means it doesn't necessarily have to be Ike who comes to the C spot. It can just be Reese, so he can take a very forward starting position. You might even be able to get that Draco Shield house turn 1. Now, what we want to see here is, does Reese die? Does he die in one round? Or rather, does he have a chance of dying here? I guess they're going to have Ike tail behind Reese to minimize combat. Yeah, you can just get the house turn 1. That's really nice. It's pretty rare in a SOYO that you're going to have a character just, you know, that can actually fight here. Like, who else are you going to get? Like, here, I guess Braum. Definitely probably not. And it looks like he doesn't have a weapon equipped. We're not able to buy light tomes here? Can you not buy light tomes for Reese up to this point? They don't seem super surprised. Let me listen to what they have to say.
Yeah, got the Draco Shield. Very nice. He doesn't have a light tome equipped.
Aw, son of a bitch. Why isn't it automatically equipped?
You can only use light magic.
Only use light magic. Why doesn't he have...
Did not equip it? No, it'd be so fun.
He needs... Fuck, you need to reset. You need to reset. He needs an arm scroll. He can't use light magic.
Doesn't he have C rank?
He wasn't able to equip it. He doesn't have it equipped.
You forgot to tell me a thing. Can you...
No, I didn't know.
Can you just hang out here, though?
I mean, yeah, we can. Yeah, I guess we can also
just wait. It's only
distract and we can run up. We can just run up with Ike, I guess. But we do have an arm scroll, luckily.
We have two,
It's so crazy that he needs an arm scroll. What rank is light?
Probably
one higher than
Does
his.
he have C?
Okay, I'll quickly look this up.
That's not worth waiting for. Why didn't you fully... I'm sure it'll be fine. Never mind.
Light magic is D rank. He has E staves. Luckily, we have an arm scroll in base, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's just more time. But I don't think it's less time than resetting would be.
No, it's not. Like, he's distracting. As long as he vulneraries up, he is taking minimal damage.
He's got C right.
No,
Oh, wait. Huh? What the fuck?
the mechanic failed us.
Yeah, we tried to use it and it said, no, fuck you.
Tried to save a frame.
Now is he going to suffer from success?
It was that one speed that he lost that tanked all of his avoids.
Oh my goodness. This animation sucks. That's such a slow animation. This is why they gave us Reese, isn't it?
He's one-shotting it.
It's still a 1-2 range carry.
That's a good dodge.
Mm-hmm. This is so slow, though.
I mean, Gatry is also very slow. That was a crit.
I think he's safe now.
Reese. Yeah, I don't think we have to deploy Reese on
no
the next chapter, though.
He's got so much defense.
Like, Ike with just a Lagoose Slayer and Steel Sword is probably enough.
That hurt.
Yeah, but he's only going to face one more soldier, right?
Yeah, but what if that soldier has like a random like Silver Lance?
Nah, he doesn't.
Or no.
We will never know.
I did not believe you guys.
Scariest soldier
another
of all
crit.
time right there.
Yeah, scariest soldier indeed.
Now, this is a really good example of Reese saving a bunch of time over your teams. This is chapter 14, trainings with Makalov and the first encounter with the feral ones. And all you have to do is just a straight shot to the boss, like just go up and right. I think, I'm not exactly sure where they're killing this particular guy with Ike, but I guess killing him now makes it so that he can't attack Reese. Reese got a couple more level ups since then. He's level 10 bishop, so way over leveled. And all you have to do is just run him up to the right. And they were trying to see if Shine would one-shot, and it does not. Shine is only 3 more might, so they do still have to go through 2 animations here, but it's gonna one-shot so many enemies in a little bit. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit though, because Path of Radiance. If you're curious why there's no Fog of War, by the way, it's because on normal mode there is no fog, and so you can see everything, which is very nice of them. So yeah, Reese just wrecks everything, and unlike most units that you get at this point, he has like Ike and Zyhark and Mia, whatever. He has 1 to 2 range, so Archer attacks him, Archer dies, never have to worry about the Archer ever again. Mage attacks him, Mage dies. Goodbye. And this guy is gonna keep throwing his hand next to Ike. That's like the main, that's the only annoyance they had in this chapter. Goodbye Spirit Dust. They were considering getting the Spirit Dust, but then their Reese is like 2 magic away from capping. They were like, nah, we're fine with the magic we have. He'll cap it eventually. He has 10 more levels to go. Clearly he is 2-shotting and 1-shotting enough to not need the Spirit Dust at this moment. But you know, Ike isn't really doing anything, so it would have been okay for him to get it, I think. Because it probably also keeps him out of some combats. And at 2 times speed, you don't really see how aggravating the light animation is to sit through. But I bet at 1 time speed, it would be quite a lot slower. Like, you've seen how fast Ike swings his sword at, I think, 1 time speed. And I think the light animation is still slower at 2 times speed. They don't double Gashilama, unfortunately. They don't have that much speed. I want to say it requires like 18 to get that. I don't know if they have that. But clearly they don't, because otherwise they would have doubled. This boss does have healing AI, where if you put him too low, he just runs away through the water. And it's a big pain to get to if you're just trying to fight him with Ike. If Ike is not one-running him, you definitely don't want to attack him on player phase. You want to enemy phase, player phase him. But clearly this is not a concern for Reese. I remember when they got to the end boss, they're like, where's the Feral ones? It just hadn't spawned yet. Reese gets there so much faster than Ike. So this is where a 5-fanged offense is really making up a lot of time, honestly. Yeah, look at that, 21 speed. What the hell? How did he not double Gishalama? I guess he got weighed down just enough. I do want to show a little bit of Desert Chapter 2 actually while we're here. It was a pretty funny segment for them. This is where they were like making up so much time.
So like the center of the square, you can go for let's see, 1 up and 2 to the left next turn, and then just mash and turn.
So they're trying to find the boots using Reese in the desert. He is wrecking everything that is attacking him. He's taking a little bit of extra damage because they forgot to bring the Lagoose Guard. But there's going to be a little bit of a problem with this. Let me fast forward a little bit.
Turn until we get it, and hopefully we also, if we get it really early, we can go from Warren. But at a certain point, those 2 tigers next to him will either move or not.
That was
Okay, Lagoose Guard would have been nice.
yeah, but
Because that would have been 7 damage.
yeah, but I
otherwise.
don't think it matters.
No, I don't think it's gonna matter, but you can just use the vulnerary.
Yeah.
Okay, my Dark Dawn has entered chapter 17.
Sucks for them.
And Mecha is near in the boss area with of chapter 17.
Wasn't even
Oh, you might
playing
just
at
want
that
to drop your light
point.
zone next turn. It's a one use one.
Yeah. Also might just kill that dude with it. Never mind.
One shots with Shine.
Because eventually he's gonna transform. It's gonna be a backflip and take some time. I really need to get these boots though.
My cat is on stream. How nice. You can see a small little face.
Cat.
Need boots.
It's my one-eyed monster.
I'm never.
No.
Oh, I have to wait, don't I?
You do need to end turn to get the boots.
By end turn, you mean you have to wait.
Yeah, sorry, you have to wait with Riz.
Jeez. You have. Do you need auto cursor
During
on?
my. I mean, it's useful for most chapters, but in this case, because Ike is at the starting area, technically it's not.
They should have just turned it off here. Like, come on. Just turn it back on later. It's fine.
Often then turn it on again.
Am I in the right spot? Please tell me I'm in the right spot.
Yes.
Could you imagine?
I mean, we would have had time to get Stefan by now.
Bro, I'm not getting these boots.
Getting fucked by the boots. Chat, help us. Send good vibes.
This is painful.
Is anyone keeping count?
This is at least 7.
Wait, where are you?
I swear to God, Sal.
I think I might fucked it up.
Oh no.
No, you are on the correct spot. You are on the correct spot. It's fine. You're on the good spot.
Okay, okay.
I was gonna be so sad
It's
for a
like-
minute. But this is
Let's see. It's you can move one down, right?
yeah.
If you move, there was a Lagoose just below you. Don't
No,
enter
don't
your
go
turn
down
there.
that. You're on the wrong spot now.
Why would you tell me to do
Now
it?
you're on the wrong spot. Well,
You
no,
asked
I
if
was
you-
asking the
It was all
There you
calculated.
go.
It was all calculated. I need to move off the spot to move
Yeah,
back
it
on
was
the
just
spot.
RNG minute.
That's what it is.
RNG minute. Now let's one round war him and get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we can we one round more him? Let's see.
Oh no. Wait, yes.
Yes, with the
Yeah, we
light
can,
tone, we one round more him.
And I
Jesus
used the
Christ.
correct
yeah.
one.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Risk carry.
Honestly, still really good desert considering everything, because damn, Breeze is so good here. But it's so funny they run out Aurora, but boots moments. Now let's talk about the hell that is chapter 16 with an Ike solo over here. So this is my Dart will go on with their 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20 Ike. And they're going for the treasure because they want the full guard for Tanith, and they might as well get the Draco Shield while they're in that room in the first place. And they're avoiding the boss room until the very end. So they brought their thief, Ike, with the chest key, after giving both thieves to us. Which, as you can just tell by that Reese clip, we kind of got value off in a way, right? Kind of.
No, I know. But we will, at some point.
Well, maybe
Just
not.
passing by, grabbing the boots.
Maybe not. Anyway, I can't really listen to their audio a whole lot because they're playing copyrighted music, and it's also sped up if I speed up the VOD, so it's mostly going to be me talking, I'm afraid. But they're going from the right, which I guess is the right angle because there's less enemies there. The problem with the throne room in this one is, first of all, a couple mages. I think the 3 of them that you see in the throne room are stationary, but they are there, I guess. And then there's a sniper with, I believe, I don't remember if he's a killer bow or if he's just that annoying. And then Armor Knights that Ike usually doesn't one round. This Ike does because he's poggers. Remember, they did have to rig defense on him a lot because he was at like 9 defense at level 15. They got him to like 12 or 13 or 14. And he is one running like all the one range enemies, so those are like a one-time problem. But now he's at like half health. Killed most of the one range enemies. Mage are stationary, but he's in range of like one of the stationary mages, unfortunately. I guess they had to go there because I think they know he's stationary, so I'm not sure why they decided to do that. The other problem is that the reinforcements come from the back, of course. And those are really annoying if you have to drag around Tormod, but we'll see that in a minute. So here they're like, okay, I want to fight the boss, but he's doing 13 damage to me. I don't want on him. There's still a sniper alive. There's a mage in front of me. So I'm just going to Vuln up. I think they can one-shot mages, so I feel like they could have just done the Vulning up separately, or maybe killed the sniper first. Anyway, mage does a massive 9 damage to Ike. I don't remember if they're pure wood or not. I guess they have to be. Maybe their res is good. But I remember Ike taking a lot more than 9 damage, at least when we played this chapter. Spoilers. A couple of guys come in, and they're probably going to kill the other mage now. If they're taking 9 from mages, I guess killing them makes sense, but it also costs more vuln uses that, you know, they might need later on in the chapter, if it's going to take a while. But these mages do have to go eventually, so I guess they're just trying to win as soon as possible, like just go in front of the boss. The problem is that the sniper went in front of the boss, so they can't one-range the boss, and if they want to one-range the sniper, they have to take a 2-range attack from the boss. So they might have to move away to make the sniper go away from the boss's range, and then kill the sniper, and then go back to where the boss is. All while taking all these attacks. Nice 0 damage from the archer. I think that's the one that has a killer bow. That might be the one I was confused with the sniper. So they might kill the killer bow guy now by going left or down. That works. They should. It doesn't matter if they use a 1-range or a 2-range or 2-use weapon at this point, because they're not countering an enemy phase. You have to be very careful when using low-use weapons, because if you accidentally get a 1-use weapon on an enemy phase, you might just not one-round something that you should one-round. Oh, they're going in front of the boss here, so they heal in. So the boss did 13, we know that much. So can these archers combine for like 10 damage? Well, this is something. Boss doing 13. 16 back. Is there anything else in range? Archer doing 1. Moving away. Killing the sniper. Question mark. Healing up. They seem to be doing fine. Boss heals up. But then the priest comes in and is like, haha, never mind. Hey. And now the whole circle starts over again. And now they open the right-hand room. Which I think makes the enemy start moving there. Anyway, it's about time to kill the stupid sniper, don't you think? Give rid of him. I love it when you have to like think about trivial decisions like which of your 4 swords to use. I do that all the time. Yep, halberdier's coming in. And the thief starts raiding the chests. They don't care about the contents, but the animations are annoying. It is faster to let the thief animation play out than to skip it with start. So it's hard to resist the urge to press start. Killable Archer is dead now. And the priest is probably not going to move away from that spot in front of the boss. So they might have to just kill him manually from here. The question is, are they going to do that or are they going to take care of the reinforcements? Looks like they're going to move up. 15 HP, it's kind of risky because now the boss hits for 13. So if the halberdier does more than 1 damage, they could be in some death chances here. 13 from the boss. Halberdier comes in, goes in front of the boss, and kills Ike. No. That's the Ike. That's the one they needed to kill the boss with and seize the chapter. That sucks. That's a reset on 16. Surely we can do better than that, right? Well, here we are on our Chapter 16 adventure, and we're dragging little Tormod along because we need him to recruit Devdon, who's in the top left, and will suicide on Ike if given the chance. So in order to bait him, we have to unequip Ike in range of Devdon, and Tormod needs to survive that whole ordeal. But first, Ike has to fight a bunch of enemies, and we went a little far in here. We're not in range of the stationary mage, but we are in range of, I think, both Myrmidons, the sniper, that Myrmidon, both Armor Knights, Armor Knight from the bottom. So there's a lot that goes on here. I think we might still have an elixir left at this point that we probably will have to consume, but I'm not sure about that. I know we didn't have to use them a whole lot in the early game. You know, for example, my Dart will go on have to use their elixir, their only elixir up till Raisin. He's getting low, but there's not that many enemies left, right? I think there's like a Myrmidon and that's it. But it's dicey, and Tormod has to watch out for these soldier reinforcements from the back as well. Oh, we do have elixir uses left, multiple actually, so this is really good. So we're fine. Gonna kill that Myrmidon from the left, and hopefully kill that sniper next. I think we can afford to do that. But the soldiers are looming closer. And yep, highlighting Devdon is definitely the move here. At this point, Geene was playing, by the way. I stopped around... Oh, I don't know why we're killing that mage specifically. I feel like going to the bottom and killing the sniper there was better. I don't remember the rationale behind that. But I guess the throne room is kind of clear now. The problem is that, like, sure, we have it mostly clear now, but more reinforcements are going to show up as soon as that thief opens the treasure room. That's more reinforcements. Soldiers coming from the back are reinforcements, and there's guys from the stairway on the left too as well. But killing the sniper here seems good. And Tormod doesn't range the armor knight now, but I guess he had to be either in range of the armor knight or the soldiers from what I'm getting. But he tanks it like a champ, so now Ike has to go back kill the armor knight, and that's the problem he gets into. Is like is in a constant like session to defend Tormod from enemies that are really trivial for him to kill. If Ike was on his own, he'd be completely fine here. Now Tormod has to go in the corridor. And at this point, it should still be pretty winnable. It's just a little annoying that archer's going to keep attacking Ike, but I think you go back to fight the soldiers here. Or you can kill the archer while in range of the soldiers, while not being in range of Devdon. It's a tough balancing act. I think if we just, like, stayed a little bit further, yeah, just go there, that's fine. That's not in range of Devdon, so it should be okay. Just, yeah, seems fine. It's all good. Yeah, 1.5 should be fine. Ike takes out this wave of soldiers. There's 3 waves total of 2 soldiers each, none of them having javelins, so it should be pretty trivial for Ike to take care of this. But there's going to be enemies from the left, I guess, is going to be the problem. Like the killable archer. And now Tormod has to go back to the right, but the right is not free yet because the soldiers are still there, so... Oh, looks like Ike is going there. But that's in range of Devdon. And he stays equipped. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, chat. Now where does Tormod go? In range of stuff to hopefully survive and dodge? Surely we've realized at this point that Devdon is going to be here. Yep, there he comes. And he's dead. And like, yeah, we could have like soloed from here. But surely we need Devdon, right? We were like, well, maybe we can use Gatri, but our Gatri at this point was Master Sealed. So there was no chance of that going well. But let's see if we can run it back. So here we are, similar position. We're going to kill an archer. But that looks like it's in range. That's not in range, so we can kill that archer from the right. There's a couple more enemies alive than last time, I believe, like that armor knight from the bottom. Looks like we are using the last elixir here. And I remember the most unfortunate thing about this reset was we didn't save our preparations, so we had to do those again. And those preparations didn't include using a Draco Shield on Ike or buying Pure Waters for some dumb reason. They weren't in my notes. Neither of those things were in my notes. I didn't plan on getting the Draco Shield until like the day off. In the first place, I didn't realize how important +2 defense on this Ike would be, even after I got it. All mistakes on our team's part, but especially mine, because I spent the most time planning. And now Ike is in range of Devdon, unequipped this time, and Tormod can probably tank the archer, but maybe not archer plus mage, so he has to go to this spot. It doesn't really matter where exactly, as long as it's not in range of the mage. Devdon comes in, hits Ike for 9, but crucially doesn't end up getting killed this time. Tormod eats the hit, and now we don't care about Tormod, we just want to grab Devdon and get him out of there safely and have Ike do the rest of the combat. I guess we could have brought like some javelins for Devdon. He's not great at fighting these enemies, he doesn't even have a vulnerary on him. He shoves Ike. This was very ambitious, I gotta say, this was very ambitious, because now he's next to 2 mages that do a ton of damage to him and the boss, and the other enemies are still not dead. But we're taking 12, killing a mage. Taking another 11, killing the mage, and if you remember, that boss, yep, he could do 13. So that's our second reset on chapter 16. Oops. That sucked. And this chapter is not short either. Like that walk through the hallway up there, and then all the combat on the throne, that takes a long time. But it's okay, we'll run it back, right? And also, we didn't save our preps again, so once again, we have to go through most of them. I think we saved, like, maybe the forging or some other shenanigans, but this time we're like, okay, let's buy Pure Waters. Let's take some additional precautions so we don't have to reset a 3rd time. So Pure Water is good. Probably get rid of the Hues Vuln. Get a Pure Water. There's an important prep moment here that I want to show that I think is about to happen. The adjustment that I think ended up helping a lot here. It's Tormod's weapons, of course, so he doesn't actually counterattack and cause a penalty. And this time we're taking Gatri into the map, our only other available unit. And I think the plan with Gatri is to stay at the starting point. He is already promoted. We promoted him to general at some point in the preps. I was hoping that it would happen here, but I guess we did it after we recruited him like straight away. But yeah, with Gatri at the starting point, he can just kill the soldiers as they spawn. And we no longer have to worry about running Ike back to that point. We could just keep Tormod in the back safe until he's ready to come out. And with that in mind, the chapter became a lot safer. We still have to be careful that we don't kill Death Dawn by accident. But we can't just kind of have Ike go somewhat riskily. Checking range occasionally to make sure that Tormod is not in death range. Again, just to clarify, Tormod is free to be deployed here, but he can't do anything besides recruiting Death Dawn and like using vulneraries and dying. Like he's allowed to see combat, but not counterattack or attack. So I kills the Killable Archer, and now the way is mostly free. I think Tormod could bait Death Dawn at this point. I think Death Dawn attacks Tormod. I'm not sure if he OHKOs Tormod though. But it's probably safer to just have Ike do this. I'm not sure why we're not healing, but that's okay. Tormod can just like chill here. We were like considering could we like shove Tormod in range of Death Dawn, but clearly not. Next to the mage seems like a wrong turn. You could just go 1-up from here, but we were like so annoyed at this point at the resets. Here we go. Death Dawn comes in for a third time, survives the enemy phase, and now finally Tormod can grab him. And this time we were a bit more careful with Ike and where to position him. We know the mages don't move, so we can put him in front of the other mages. Talk to Death Dawn. And I'm not sure if that soldier can reach Ike from there. I would be a little worried about Ike's health. And we decided, oh, this thief is going to get a Draco Shield for us, maybe. So we can kill him and get the Draco Shield with Death Dawn. So the thief opens the chest room. See, we are the only team that has thieves. But we still didn't use them here. Because we weren't planning on getting any of the chests here in the first place. We don't need the full guard, and we feel like we didn't need the Draco Shield enough to drag around a thief. What we could have done is combine... we could have deployed Soth here, and he could both see combat and recruit Death Dawn, or get chests. Could have been something we did. Instead, the enemy swipes the full guard. We're fine with that. Goodbye, Tormod. I'm sorry. You fulfilled your purpose. And Ike attacking here is too risky, so he's probably got to heal. Doesn't have a healing item on him, I guess. And Death Dawn's like, alright, I'm gonna hit this thief in the face. The thief swiped the bolting and something else from the top left chest here. And I don't think we checked his inventory yet, but hopefully we will do that soon. Boss is dead now. Goodbye. Thanks for the spear. Thief takes the other chest with the Draco Shield. Soldier almost kills Ike, but not quite in range. And probably also doesn't do 10 damage, to be fair. And yeah, he drops the bolting, even after swiping other chests. It's not like they always drop the last item in the inventory. So Death Dawn gets his first kill and gets the bolting for us. Which crucially has a bit more might than the meteor that Klaire comes with. So that might come in handy in a later chapter. So with that out of the way, we can now go into Serenus Forest and Bexp up our carry. So we're going to give him the Night Ward, so he gets the 30% extra speed growth, and we're going to start Bexping him. And ideally we get him all the way to 20 so that XP bar stops appearing, which I personally don't think is the biggest deal ever. Like, you shouldn't really go too far out of your way to do it, because it only saves seconds at a time anyway. And the 1 XP. I forgot about that. But, you know, it's nice, and if you can do it, might as well. You only want to go into this menu once if you can help it. So watch closely as Death Dawn gains strength and speed. You expect a lot of speed because of the Night Ward. And, you know, he got enough. Let me just spoil that. He got enough. For the near future, anyway. He only has a couple levels to go. It's like an advantage, a minor advantage that he has over, say, Mist and Reese and like all the other low-level carries. Is he only needs to be bexed from like his base level, which is like 4, I think, to 20, and he's just done. He's level capped for the rest of the game. And also, if he gets really bad levels, which this one clearly isn't, then you can always reset and try again if you want. It's a similar advantage to Tanith, actually. So right now we're at 20 strength, which is a lot more than I expected to have on him. The time I tested the Death Dawn, he had 20 strength at 2020, and here we are at level 12 with 21 strength now. We are at 18 speed, which I think is enough to double everything in Serenus Forest. We decided to save here because, well, we had some good levels so far. So might as well do that and lock it in case everything else we get now is absolute crap. We can reset to this point and know we have this much strength and speed. And we got even more! We don't want to save every time we get a good level up, because the save menu actually costs a fair bit of time. It's so good! The levels are so good! We don't need to save, he gets the guaranteed level ups. So we're at 50 now, another point of strength. I don't remember what his cap is, I think it's 25, 26 strength, maybe 27, but that sounds a bit high. 25, here we go. Cap strength, alright. Unfortunately, it's not Radiant Dawn, we don't get guaranteed other levels now. So these levels might be worse. Ooh, 21 speed. Let's go. This is already way more than we need, by the way. But again, might as well level cap him while we're here. And then the Night Ward is going to stay and keep giving him that 2 res, 2 defense for the rest of the game, unless you want to give him like the Guard or something. So he's looking good. 18 defense, not bad. That's 20 with Night Ward. Enough to withstand most hits in Path of Radiance until the end game. And 19 defense. Alright, no more speed for some reason. So I know his base growth isn't that good. But we can still give him the Sweet Wings. We can give him the Boots. The Boots is debatable on him. There's a lot of chapters where you'd much rather have him on Ike, especially in the far late game when he has the Ragnell. But I felt like it was better for Cern's Force to have the Boots on him, and my teammates agreed with me that he should have the Boots. If nothing else, it gives us a 9 move unit before Ike gets to 9 move. And, you know, Devdon, one of the reasons why people were hesitant to give him out in the first place, and why we were hesitant to give him out in the first place, his recruitment cost is real, but he does have 1 to range. Forged Javelins are kind of poggers. But I've also found that if you're splitting your forges between Ike and Devdon, they are more likely to run out than if you're just using Ike. I don't know if that can be backed up by science or not, but that's the feeling I got. Is it's making a choice between which one to forge for is hard. And Cern's Force is 4 chapters, so it's quite a bit of work. I want to skip ahead a little bit because the first 2 chapters aren't super relevant or anything. Well, they're relevant, like, obviously, but I can't highlight everything. I want to skip ahead to part 4 because that's the kicker here. Alright, so after a couple chapters that are honestly pretty similar to not having Devdon, this is the part where you really want him for. So Devdon moves down, kills a Cavalier that would otherwise be able to attack Ike unless you move him really far out of the way. And Ike moves, I mean, he has to move like 1 up to get out of meteor range. That's all he has to do for basically the rest of the chapter until the reinforcements appear. So 17.4, 17 part 4, has a vertical line through roughly the middle of the map, and once you pass it, Tabarn appears, and along with Raisin and Olki, and they start like fighting stuff. And also on the left part of the map is Oliver, the boss you have to kill to end the chapter, so you want that to happen as soon as possible. For Devdon, triggering Tabarn doesn't really matter. He just wants to make it across. It's nice that they are like a distraction for the enemies, I guess, but sometimes you'd rather have Devdon kill him. I believe triggering Tabarn also causes reinforcements to appear near Ike. That's why Ike is moving down to the right, so that he's not in danger. Again, he's holding Leanne, so even our insane Ike with like, I think it's 19 strength, 19 speed, but it might be 20-20. Even him, he is not super enthused about fighting those. He does have the Draco Shield now that we got from chapter 11 that we gave to him in chapter 16. Oops. After 2 resets, or maybe it was 1 reset. So he's not going to die in 1 turn to these reinforcements, but you'd rather not fight them until you can help it. But Devdon has already crossed the middle part of the map with the Swamp on it, and he's just pelting down these enemies, and he doesn't care about the meteor. And there comes the NPCs, and you can see it's going to take him like 2 turns of walking to get to where Oliver is in the top left, thanks to the boots and his 1 to range. Oliver is flanked by a couple of enemies, but he can attack them at 2 range. Oh, there's actually a really funny highlight here that I just remembered, so we're going to keep watching this. So yeah, he's like right near Oliver now, using 1 range, because I'm always a bit like stingy about my 1 to range forges if I can help it. 1 range, right? Yeah, 1 range, yeah. You could have used it on Forged Javelin here, I guess. We're at the end of Cern Force anyway. I just think running out of forges is a real concern sometimes, and if I can like use them when it makes a difference and not use them when it doesn't make a difference, I think that's ideal. But yeah, at this point all we have to do is throw with the javelin at Oliver and we're all good. So we're gonna watch Yanaf and Tabarn go ham on these enemies. Reinforcements come in, but I can move out of range. Perfect, and here comes Devdon. Simply throw that Forged Javelin at Oliver. There's 3 uses left, right? 100 hit, easy. Nope, we're gonna do the 82 hit. Boom, misses. Geene, why? Why, Geene, why? And Oliver gets hit, but he's low on health, so you know what he's gonna do. He's a Path of Radiance enemy. You already know what's about to happen. Reinforcements move. Another Meteor and Ulki. This probably is gonna make him transform and waste even more time. Yep, here he comes. Ulki's actually like not bad as an NPC. He likes fighting stuff for sure. Yanav doesn't double those guys. We're gonna fight this Halberdier for fun. Come on, Oliver, attack already. We want to get out. Fortunately, most enemies here are stationary. Nope, Oliver runs away and gets healed by a priest. And the worst thing would be if these other enemies decided to like protect Oliver somehow even. But I don't think there's information they can take with the 2 of them that would stop Oliver from being attacked by Devdon. So here's some more NPC combat. You know the drill at this point. Here comes Yanaf. He found an enemy to attack and fully waste our time with. Thank you, Yanaf. And there comes Raisin. Okay, but now there's no way we can mess this up, right? Devdon moves down and starts fighting here. Oliver wastes our time with some Nosferatu animation. Heals 1 HP before being murdered by his former slave, Ripperinos. That's what you get for enslaving poor Devdon. So that was 17.4. You can see our timer is at 2:26:34. Let me see what we started at. Okay, so our turn 1 player phase starts on 2:20:21, meaning this map took us about 6 minutes-ish. 6 minutes, 10 seconds. Now let me show you another perspective real quick. So here's the start of My Dart Will Go On with the dreaded Ike solo of 17 part 4. And their turn 1 began at around 2:17:11. So let's see what they got going on plan-wise here. They brought no Pure Waters. They decided to go for 12 Vulneraries instead. They had to use their early game Elixir on Ike against like the chapter 6 enemies, I think, which is unfortunate, but it was because of their low defense, remember. But he does one-shot some things, which is really helpful because it saves some time, and he certainly is not doubling Myrmidons with that 10 speed of his. But he has to go in because he has to go past the middle that I pointed out earlier, like Devdon did, across the swamp to trigger Tabarn. There are like some tiles that are easier to track it on than others, but I don't think they know exactly what the optimal play is, but they'll figure it out over the course of this, right? So he goes here, he's fallen. He's already at half HP though, so there's like a very real chance he just dies here. There's so many enemies. There's a Meteor Mage. He has no Pure Water. He has like no Avoid to speak of. It's not like his luck is good enough to make up for having freaking 10 speed. So even though their Ike is super blessed, and even though they've been like steaming ahead so far, well, I don't know if they steamed ahead, but even though they've been doing fine so far, this is like the real kicker. They also lost a bunch of vulnerary uses in part 3, the defend map, because the mages kept hitting them over and over. So this is getting tense. The meteor misses. Okay, they're good. I'm gonna slow down a little bit. And they managed to proc Tabarn on this turn already. I think this is turn 3, if not 2. They do have boots on Ike, which helps a lot, crossing the swamp quickly. So their hope is that Tabarn ends up killing Oliver. Of course, they have to survive for quite a while for him to do that. Tabarn has plenty of things he can get distracted by, and Yanaf and Oki will also fight those things, but they're not gonna one-round a whole lot. And now Ike is just trying to find a safe spot, but it's kind of hard to do that when there's enemies all around you. There's a meteor with a massive range, and he had to come in this deep to proc Tabarn, but now he has to get out of there. And the most appealing tile that wants to go to is the tile on the right, near that isolated mage. Because that's like further away from the swamp and the meteor mage. But he decides to go up, saying, okay, if I go to this spot unequipped, not many enemies will be able to attack me. The swamp will stop most of the Cavaliers from moving in, and they're going to go for Oki instead, right? Which makes sense. But he only had 1 Vuln to heal with. He takes 10 from his Fire Mage. There's a Meteor Mage in range. There's probably a Cav or 2 in range. Some of the Cavs have range. But they do like going for Oki. So they have a shot there. And since Oki's on support right now, he's a really attractive target. Yanaf is, of course, attractive for the same reason. So they should be fine for this turn as long as the meteor doesn't roast them. That's their first reset. It took them about 4 minutes to get to this point, maybe 5. So obviously you don't want to lose 5 minutes in a draft race with this opposition. It is really like quite annoying, quite bad. But if this is the cost of getting Tanith, you know, you take those, right? So to take a moment here, I think they might even be taking a break to figure out their strategy from here on out. They're gonna like pull out the map and figure out, where do I go with Ike? What's the optimal tile to go to? Is there a better plan than the one we have? Is this like our best % chance of making it through? They're gonna figure that out. So here we are, turn 2, trying to get to the point again. A bit more of a covered position. I actually don't know if this is, I don't think this is crossing the points that they need to on turn 2, but that's fine. They heal up, they got 3 Vuns left at this point, and not many enemies can attack them here, so you get surrounded a little bit, but hopefully the Cavs either can't reach or they can't out of the way. Something to make this Ike able to cross the point and proc Tabarn would be welcome here. And it looks like it's out of range of the Meteor Mage, and this Cavalier stepped into 2 Swamp Tiles, so it doesn't look like he have enough movement to get back out. So Ike's going to be stuck for a turn, and with only 3 Vuns, it makes sense to try and attack to get a guy out of the way, but he misses. And suddenly takes, well, he doesn't take extra damage from this, but if you know, you'd rather heal than miss in this case. He one-shots this Myrmidon, opening up the square, and he's going to face a bunch more attacks because over it. Let's take that attack. I mean, it looks still manageable with all those defense level ups that they get rigged at the end. Like, you see the really pay off. Like, every single defense level up is like making for like 5 less damage taken per turn, if not more. And that's individual level ups. Like, they rigged like 4 of those. Imagine if they didn't. Okay, takes 6. Can you dodge the fighter? Oh, you cannot dodge the fighter, unfortunately. That's 2 resets. The chapters already cost them 8 minutes with no progress, but that's okay. 3rd time is the charm. Okay, this time the squares seem to be quite open, so I goes into a corner near a couple of mounted units, but not that many. And they're trying to figure out how far do I need to go to proc the barn while still being safe, and they go as far as they can get. I think they still have Vulns left, but they're only at 7 damage, so they want to conserve their Vulns probably. They might want to unequip here. Nope, they're gonna heal and not unequip, so they're trying to kill the enemies that are trying to attack them. Which makes sense. If an enemy dies, they can't attack you over and over again, so you might end up saving more damage that way. But it does put them at weapon triangle disadvantage against all these lance enemies. You know, a daring choice. And max speed Ike does it again, kills the armor knights. If you have like a 16 speed Ike or something, that is maybe not in the cards. I don't know how fast these enemies are. It's normal mode Path of Radiance enemies. Maybe I'm overrating them. But surely there are some enemies in this chapter that a worse Ike would not kill with a one-shot or a double attack if he wasn't so blessed. So he was at full health when he healed, but now he's already down to 1913 because of this unexpected Pegasus Knight attack. But at least Tabarn should spawn now, right? Right? Okay, there he is. So hopefully they takes out some of these bow enemies that seem to be high priority. Tabarn takes out a random mage. Probably will not go for the meteor mage. I don't know if there's like how they can attack from there. Yanaf takes out a soldier that's like nowhere near Ike. Please, Ulki, help out. Okay, that's a really helpful position for Ulki. He can't attack, but he can distract enemies. And now Boots Ike can get out of range from most enemies and just heal up here. And hopefully, there might be like one paladin that can attack Ike here, but it should be a way better position than near where Ulki is. And Ulki's going to keep these guys busy for sure. And that's going to help a lot. Unfortunately, Team My Dart Will Go On is still going to have to wait for Tabarn and Ulki to get through. And I will spare you the agonizing moments that follow, because I don't know if you want to sit here with me and watch 50,000 NPC animations and Ike healings and meteor misses on Tabarn. Well, I say misses as he takes 0 damage. So unfortunately for them, Yanaf and Ulki stayed on the left, which is good. That's where they can clear out some enemies for Ike, especially this annoying paladin with this ranged axe, I think, the short axe. And Yanaf seems to be going for it, but Tabarn gets stuck on the enemies that reinforce from the starting point. So Tabarn, for the next at least 3 turns, is not going to be the one in range to fight Oliver. And honestly, the chance that they go for Oliver or enemies around him is pretty low, because those are probably enemies that can like counterattack and have more defense. So they're going to be stuck here for a while. And of course, Yanaf and Ulki, they can fight, but they can also untransform after a little bit. So yeah, it's going to take quite a while. We're already at 2 hours, 31 minutes. So 14 minutes in. Honestly, could be worse. Could be worse. Alright, a quick update. Ulki just untransformed against the enemies near Oliver and is getting rained down meteors and javelins all over him. So it might be time for classic Path of Radiance healing AI. And enemies also like to run away when they are trying to heal. So here goes Ulki. And he heals with a Vuln in a somewhat secluded spot. Good move. Tabarn almost done with the reinforcements, so he's probably ready to head left at least now. Is he going to go for Oliver anytime soon? I guess not. Raisin is also like a pure psychopath, just moving forward, like completely transformed now. And Ulki is going to stay getting attacked by this paladin, who could one-range him. And he's actually getting trapped by this cavalier, I think, unless he cantos away. He does not canto away. Raisin soaks up a meteor. I'm surprised there's still meteors left at this point. But there are. And he flies away even further, so now he's like in a previous part of Seren's Forest. But at least Tabarn is getting closer. Ike just keeps moving away, does not want to mess up this attempt. I can't believe it's only turn 10 at this point. When I was watching this VOD, it felt way longer at the time. Holy fuck, this takes so long. But now Tabarn is in range of some stuff that he can actually kill. So like, here's this Falcon Knight dying. I'm trying to see if this Meteor Mage can be attacked and if he will go for it. Ulki just randomly gets his sets transform. Vuln's a second time just in case. And okay, there is an attacking tile next to the Meteor Mage, so he's done. I don't know if he had any left, but he certainly doesn't have any now. I guess he's going to stay where he is. Doesn't even bother Vulning if he had the chance. Like, never going to get attacked again in this chapter. It's all down to the NPCs at this point. Cavalier's coming in, Mage coming in. Tabarn is probably going to have to route all of this before he even thinks of going further left where Oliver is. But, you know, Ulki is back, how? He no longer heals himself, so surely he feels confident that he can do this. Either that or he ran out of vulneraries. You know, both things can be true. They just keep harassing Tabarn. Tabarn, of course, has permanent transformation, so he's never going to untransform however many times they will range attack him. So he's just going to do manual cleanup here. Ulki gets a couple more soldiers towards him. What's he going to do? Flies towards Tabarn and helps out with the Paladin. Unfortunately, not quite getting the 2-shot here. So Tabarn's going to have to finish that off. Thanks, Ulki, for setting that up for Tabarn. Here goes Raisin. I think Yanov already went down, by the way, if you're wondering where he is. They all retreat. Like, even though they are technically drafted, they didn't really care. I think when I was watching this, they said they don't care about the survival. Oh, the elixir used by Ulki, thanks to Tabarn. Just in case. Gotta heal that last 9 HP and do some elixir golf. But there you go. I don't know what they're probably just really ecstatic to see that happen. Because Oliver is open now. Like, if Tabarn feels like one-shotting Oliver now, he can do it. And it's probably his best target, considering Oliver could probably be one-shot. So Oliver tries to dissuade him with an Nosferatu for 0 damage. Does it work? It does not work. Oliver goes down. And that is 17 part 4 wrapped up in what looks like about 21 minutes for a single part of a chapter. A long time. Honestly, if you had asked me how long it took beforehand, after watching it, I would have said, like, probably 30 minutes. So, it only being 22 is not as bad as I thought, but it's still such a massive amount of time in a race. Like, shall we check how far along the other teams have gotten in the meantime? Alright, so on the top right screen, you can see what you just saw, which is Tabarn and Oliver having a little duel. You can see 5-Fanged Offense is 1 chapter behind here with Reese. I'm not sure what the cause of this time loss was. I don't remember where their big resets were, if they just took more break time. I'll check the timer out in a minute. And I'm passing the baton, or Geene is passing the baton to Klaire at this point, which means that we have passed, I want to say like chapter 19 or 20 is when we agreed to switch at this point. So we're about a chapter-ish ahead. If you look at the timer, you can see my will go on is at 2:39. The Libra Bunga is at 2:44, so we are 5 minutes further, which means we took this amount of time to get further ahead, so the difference is smaller. And then you got 5-Fanged Offense at 2:52:27, so they must have had a big holdup somewhere in the early-ish game. I can't remember what that quite would have been. Perhaps something went wrong in Strand's Forest, I do not recall. But certainly, like, chapter 16 went worse for us than for 5-Fanged Offense. I'm not sure what the cause was here. But yeah, that's how close it is. But now, Mydat will go on, is in position to use Tanith. And the question is, can Tanith make up the time that they were behind? And remember that the race time is not just for this race, but it's a relay race. So the times are aggregate, and the time that we had for the FE8 race counts as well, and the times for the next race, the combined Awakening and FE7 race, is also going to be factored in as a total time. So every second counts, is what I'm saying. So now they need to Bexbuff Tanith, and they want her levels to be good. The question is how good. They were quite rigorous in their Tanith resetting here. They wanted a lot of strength and speed, and I think they did it like this. They do 2 levels at a time, and if they're both shit, they reset. But if they get like strength speed like here, they'll probably keep it. I feel like so they're gonna save this good level and then keep going like that. With the Night Band equipped, I believe, for more strength and defense. Strength is what Tanith needs the most, of course. And you can also see on the top left screen that 5-Fanged Offense is Reese, as Reese Oliver, and they're engaged in a light magic duel with the slowest animations possible. But yeah, my dad will go on is taking quite some time to Bexbuff Tanith, and she has to make a lot of ground up. I'm not sure how much less I would have done, but I felt like they took a lot of time. But of course, they got some pretty bad luck on level ups too, as they were doing this. Tanith's growths are like good, but she's not guaranteed to get strength and speed every time. And they had to get a lot of it. But I do want to highlight just how good Tanith is going to be when we get there. So let me get to their final Tanith stats. So here we are. Tanith is going to get her final level up. They actually end up switching players just to get better luck on Tanith levels. I remember hearing that. And there you go. She got defense. They're happy with that. So let me get those final stats on screen a little bit more slowly, because I definitely wasn't ready for that. There you go. So we got 38 HP, a little bit less than Ike has at level 20 unpromoted, but okay, thanks Tanith. But 21 strength, 28 speed, and 18 defense, more than enough to beat the rest of the game. It's actually not as impressive now that I look at it. I'm sure a Marcia would have had better stats, but hey, it's a SOYO. You're going to be happy with your 8 move, 9 move flyer, and you're going to use them. You're going to be happy with it. I want to highlight a particular chapter where I think Tanith was so much faster. So here we're going into Tallegra. I think this is chapter 20, the Arrive chapter. So we're going to use Devdon to, seize the thing as soon as possible. The one with Shiharam. There will not be any danger of Jill getting converted here. Don't worry. Our timer starts at around 2:45, 40, let's say. So 2:45. Let's remember that for our starting point in this chapter. We're still training Ike a little bit. We have Bexped him up as far as we could, but since we used most of our Bexp on Devdon at the start of chapter 17, we didn't have enough left to get Ike to 20. And I imagine other teams are in a similar spot if they had to Bexp someone. Maybe the Reese team, Five Fanged Offense didn't, because they haven't had to Bexp in quite a while, and they might have stayed up more overall. But I don't know. It feels like we should have the most Bexp left because we only had to Bexp up Devdon and Ike. And they are, Ike is a common denominator, and Devdon is the least Bexp hungry out of all these. If you're just talking about trying to get him to 20. Anyway, Devdon obviously has no wings, so he has to go through the bottom part. His cap strength is apparently not enough to one-on Wyverns. I don't remember if he's using a forged or unforged javelin here, but I think he is using a javelin. And so these Wyverns are going to get healing AI, and they're going to run away, be annoying. Okay, so it was an unforged javelin, now he's using a forge, and just moving full move towards the boss every single turn. Trying to get to Shiharam, probably won't be able to one-round him either, because he's just that tough, and he has an elixir, so we're going to have to play around that. But, at least it's pretty comfy. Like, none of these enemies stand a chance against a 20/20 Devdon with a Night Ward equipped and a forged javelin, so even if they don't get one-rounded, they will get out of my way. And sure, some enemies might divert themselves to Ike, but that's honestly almost preferable, because then he gets some XP. And as long as Ike one-rounds, it costs about the same amount of time. Unfortunate movement by the Armor Knights there and the Sniper, blocking our way. We couldn't get through the Sniper anyway because he was behind a tree. But now Devdon is going to be stuck here for another turn. This is where having the Night Ring... Oh, never mind, he can move around. I forgot that during the race too, I remember now. But it cost a bit of movement there. The tricky thing with the Wyverns I've found sometimes is if they canto and then start getting in your way. Like, they'll just pick the most annoying square to go to. Oftentimes I've found that's like right near my character. But I think it depends on like what unit you're using if they do that. But I've found them very likely to just like canto, attack me from range and then canto in front of me or something. Probably doesn't happen if they are right in front of you. Then they'll just canto out of the way. I think they just like to canto if they can. That might be the AI I'm thinking of. They're like, okay, I attacked and now I'm going to canto no matter what. Because just because I can, I should. That's their logic, basically. But yeah, it costs about the same amount of time for Devdon to kill something as like Ike to kill something, as long as they're both one-running. I guess is the point I was trying to make. Okay, but it should be one more turn here, unless the Wyverns get in our way. If some of them have a Javelin, then they will get in our way, I think. It's like he's going to attack like that, and then sit there, and then another one's going to attack like that, and then sit there. Oh, maybe not. I think there's one more Wyvern left somewhere. Yep, please die. Nice. I don't think that crit was necessary. I think I was using like a Steel Lance. And when I say I mean Klaire was playing at this point. And Klaire was playing very, very well, by the way. So we go here. If you attack Shiharam, he's just going to elixir the damage off, so might as well kill something else, like a Sage. And then hopefully the Wyverns die as well. Excuse me. Kill the other Sage. These kind of combats you don't really have to get kills, but, we have to use a Javelin to get Shiharam anyway. Now Shiharam is low. So we can finish him on player phase and then we can seize the next turn. So right now timer's at 2:53. And we're going to need to sit here for another phase. So we're not going to be out here until 2:54, 2:55 probably, if that. There were several turns where Devdon was definitely not moving full move, like this one. I don't know if there's a way to make that happen. We obviously never did a turn by turn for Devdon. Turn by turn being a strategy where you just exactly write down who's going to move where every single turn, so you just do that every time. There are chapters where you can do that, but this is not one of them. So 2:54, almost 50, yeah, 2:54:30. So it took us about 9 minutes to play this chapter. Let's see how long another team takes. Let's say the team that has Tanith. So here we go, and they're actually going to bring Yanaf and Oki. They do not die even if they go to 0 HP as an NPC in that chapter. But They're being brought here because turns out if everyone can seize, then that includes Yanaf and Ulki. So you can bring them along as distractions to make enemies get out of your way, or if Tanith uses her action to kill a boss, you can then have one of the Hawks seize if possible. So Ulki takes the Demi-Bands to transform immediately, and Yanaf transforms on turn 1 no matter what, so you have 2 Transforms Lagoos to work with. You don't have Horror at this point, obviously, so that would be another flyer that could help here if he existed. But yeah, Tanith should... I think Tanith might not kill Wyverns even with this strength, like 18 strength. If our Devdon with his 25 was having issues, then I feel like Tanith is going to need like a Forged Steel to do it. She can use those, of course, but then she doesn't get the Javelin ones on enemy phase. Looks like Raisin is joining in as well. I know most teams didn't really value Raisin all that much. Personally, I didn't really make too many plans for Raisin because fielding him just made things more complicated if you're just trying to do simple clears. They had Ike Rescue Raisin, which is probably clever. I don't know exactly what he does to get out of trouble, but you can see the Hawks are being deployed here. I'm going to slow down a little bit to basically get enemies away from Tanith. And I guess in that way it doesn't matter that Tanith doesn't one-round them. So, but maybe she will here. Oh, she does get this one. That's good. That's good. Apparently 18 strength is enough. They might have also still had an energy drop. I don't know if they'd applied that yet. I know they didn't get the energy drop from the ship though, from the boat map. You know, the map with Astrid and Gatri, the upper ship there has I think a energy drop and a speed wing. And we got those, and 5 Fanged Dolphins got them, but the strategy for My Dart Will Go On was to simply put Ike on the green square and just end turn a lot, which I can't lie, that's a pretty good strategy. It's a pretty good strategy, but it does mean you miss out on those treasure chests. It also means you miss out on a lot of combat, which is good. The question is, does this make up for it? And, you know, I think the side that does less combat has a good chance of coming out on top. Tanith doesn't get this one, but I think he'll move out of the way because he has some movement left. Yep. Okay. So now Tanith can go probably just 2-range Shiharum. I don't know if she's going to attack or not. Depends on the numbers, of course. Ulki and Yanaf are getting worn down a fair bit, but they can still move forward. And they don't care if they both survive. In fact, if they both died, that would still be fine. But there's a good chance that one will survive, and then they can help Tanith seize. Of course, Ulki has the Demi-Band, so his stats are like not as good as they could be. And Yanaf is going to transform somewhat soon, given that how much combat they're about to face. So here Ike runs away with the boots once again. Tanith goes here, fights Shiharum. Doesn't quite one round, but can go for a Kill Lance crit. It would have to double crit though. So they decide to go for killing a Sage. Since if they like hit Shiharum with a hit and a crit, there's a good chance he would just elixir up and not like die. So this is probably safe. I don't know if this is better odds than the using a Silver Lance. But you know what? I'm going to trust their judgments. They were pretty conscious of which weapon to use in these kind of scenarios. Anyway, let me speed this up a little bit because it is an enemy phase that takes quite a while. Especially those healing animations. Ulki might die. No, he's fine. He's fine. Doesn't have the full guard or anything. Tanith should have the full guard at this point. I'm pretty sure she does have the full guard equipped. It would be quite suicidal to not to. So Ulki's going to take a lot of firepower. The combat with him takes some time, of course, but it would also take time for Tanith to fight these, so it doesn't really matter. But ideally, one of the Hawks survives. This one. And the more Ulki dodges, the less enemies will get to fight Tanith or Yanaf, so they're fine with this. Goodbye, Ulki. Your sacrifice is appreciated, once again. No elixir to free to steal here. Shiharum attacks Tanith, deals 14, 9, and 9. Okay. I think they have enough with their... I think they had a forged silver or an unforged silver that just gets the kill here. I think they did the math on this. Let's slow down a little bit. Ike gets a Wyvern kill. Is he gonna get another one? He's promoted now. I think I don't know if they bexed their Ike yet. They only needed like 12 levels on Tanith, if not less, maybe 6. So they should have some bex for Ike. He's level 3, so not a whole lot. Yep, the Eel Lance gets the kill. 2 times 14. Almost perfect math. And now normally they'd have to wait here for a turn. But because Yanaf is here, he can simply seize. Okay, so they started at around 3:04, maybe 3:05 if you want to be exact. And they ended at around 3:10. So they took 6 minutes-ish, 5 to 6 minutes, while we took 9. So in one chapter they made up 4 to 5 minutes. Pretty good. And there's a couple more chapters like this where they do this. In fact, the next chapter is a pretty good example. So here is the Enna map, Dain Keep. Pretty tough one. And we have Devdon. This is our perspective once again. So Devdon is just going to go in front, and once again he's going to one round the enemies. We're starting at 256.5, let's say. And again, one rounding enemies is not an issue. Devdon just like murders everything, just destroys everything. But what you want to pay attention to with this map is the sleep staffs. They are so annoying. There's two bishops that have one, and I believe they both move. One of them's range starts around the top of the bridge that is in the top of the screen right now. So I think Devdon cannot quite walk in range yet, but it's a good turn to Pure Water up, of course. He steals a Night Ward and some good base res as well to get through that without getting slept. It's not this bishop, but it's the one above him somewhere that has to sleep. Didn't want to have that armor, and unfortunately he's stuck here for a turn, but he has to wait for Ike anyway. Ike should probably Pure Water one of these turns, but he can probably get it the next one. Hopefully anyway. Longbow Archer, of course, likes getting in the way as well. Warrior shouldn't be a problem, especially if Devdon just crits him. So I can attack safely here without being in sleep range. And Devdon can just move forward and kill a bishop or something, doesn't really matter. And the bishop on the upper left now is the one that has a sleep staff. Devdon has like a bazillion res, so he should not get hit by a sleep here. In fact, he doesn't even get targeted. And now Devdon can just kill him. But look how far we have to get out of the way to kill this guy. All the way to the top of the map, but we want to be in the bottom. We want to be where those mages and sages are, even further below that. That's where the next sleep guy is. We get to face combat with Kasatai, the guy with the Brave Lance. Just for fun, and also because we had to be. But now we have to go back down. And the issue is, we really don't want to get slept, but we need to move forward as fast as possible. It is a race, so how safe do you play it? I checked the range, and I think like around where Devdon, like halfway through Devdon's move there, that's roughly where the range starts. But Devdon has like such good avoid that he's almost never going to get slept. So we wasted one use here. He's two left. And we want to move Ike towards the throne, but I think Devdon's res is so good that if Ike moves in range, he's going to go for Devdon or for Ike, despite the fact that Devdon is below him in deployment order. I do believe that still matters in Path of Radiance, but I'm 100% sure though, so don't quote me on that. You could go around the left side. We also want to recruit Tyronio for his weapons and to get him out of the way. So we have to wait for that too. Well, I think the idea here was like keep Ike out of range so that Devdon could just soak out of sleep, but then the bishop just didn't have enough magic to sleep him from here. So we went back in, used another Pure Water, and tried to see if Ike was safe in that spot. I don't actually know if he is. Let's slow it down a little bit. Looks like both are safe. I guess Ike wasn't in range and Devdon was too resistant once again, so looks like we're contemplating going in. Yep, we're going in here. Devdon is going to move further. There's some, I think, area-based reinforcements that you got to be careful here. It's turn 9 at this point. And Ike dodges asleep, very crucial. There's one left at this point, and Tyronio moved. So we have to probably move Devdon back now to not have a Tyronio-Devdon fight. I mean, not that Devdon wouldn't win, but Tyronio is like quite annoying to fight, I think. There's no way we won around him, so Ike's going to go down further. Devdon right behind. We have to dodge another sleep, probably. If Ike is slept in this spot, it's quite bad. But he dodges, thankfully. Tyronio moves forward. At this point, we're home free. We can just fight Enna. We probably should have brought the Lagoose Guard to do so, but other than that, not much happens in this chapter. So let me skip ahead to the end. I said we started at 256, and we're already at 303. So now we're at 307, fighting Enna. Devdon is putting in work, but he's too injured to attack on player phase again at one range. But I was like, okay, I guess Devdon just got to heal while Ike fights. But my teammates had a better idea. We could just attack Enna from 2 range. And that's very unpredictable. Even if you 100 hit on her, she's likely to survive because of Miracle. So you'd rather not risk that. But thankfully the Javelin doesn't pose any risk to throw, and the dragon is dead. And we're about to seize at 309-ish, let's say. So we took from 256 to 309. So that would be about... Damn, that's a long chapter. That's like 13 minutes. Do you want to see how long Dart takes to do it? Here they are. They start at 314. And it's not just that Tanith has more movement or has better stats than Devdon. It's that being able to fly allows you to fly over water. And just like in the GBA games, if enemies don't see a direct path to you where they can attack you, and you're on a tile that they cannot traverse, they just don't see you, and so they will never move towards you, even if they would normally rush towards you. So, I mean, you can attack the soldier. I don't know if there was a reason to, but they did it anyway. Just to taunt them, I guess. Because they still can't be seen. I guess this guy can attack her, so they see you if they can attack you this turn. But if they can attack you in like 2 turns from now, but you're on the water where they cannot move, then you're good. Again, his longbow archer sees an attack and does it, but that doesn't really matter. So, what was it that I said? It was like 3-0 something that they started. I don't know, but they're already like past the middle point. And that whole trek to the north with that sleep bishop up there, they never had to go there. They're just going here because Tanith also has really good resistance, so she doesn't care. In fact, the sleep bishop from inside the throne room can't even do it. I think they started like 3-13, 3-14, was it? And now Tanith flies over here. Probably drop Ike to get Toronio, I assume. Maybe not down so that he's not in range. I actually don't know how far Toronio reaches. There's no way Toronio just talks to you, right? You have to talk to him. Sleep Bishop decides his time is better spent healing. He could have probably gone for Ike, actually. Oh, yeah, Ike gets speared. Okay, that's quite safe. I forgot he had a spear for some reason, even though it's like the main reason to recruit him. This guy probably doesn't get one-on by Tanith. This is a good showing of Tanith's like lackluster strength at this point. Even though they kind of rigged her level ups to be better than average, she's still just unable to one-round what I believe is an unpromoted armor knight. So quite unfortunate. Toronio comes in. This is one of the few late units that do not have drafted, so they can't have Toronio counterattack or attack, but they can unequip him and give his stuff away to Ike. So they should do that. And then Tanith can carve a path through. Should probably kill that armor knight, yeah. If you could kill the other armor knight to get more movement for yourself to the throne, you'd probably do that, but they couldn't because Tanith's strength is not good enough. But her move, though, her move. Now, in this chapter, and others like it, you could argue, nice sleep soak, by the way, Toronio. Kind of interesting that he gets put to sleep, even though he doesn't have a weapon equipped. I thought you would need to equip him to do that. Forgot about that part. But yeah, looks like Tanith is going to have to help Ike out of this little spot here, but she also would like to kill the sleep bishop, so I wonder how they're going to solve that issue. Because if you kill the armor knight and the bishop stays alive, the bishop might kill Ike. I could also just kill the bishop himself, I guess. Or kill the armor knight himself, maybe? I think this is a killing edge swordmaster, but whatever. Surely Tanith has enough defense to survive one killing edge crit. Nice killing edge. Give me that. This armor knight. This is a very clean room for Tanith. Look at how fast everything died. Level 20 Tanith moment. Okay. Yep, Ike is going to have to do this himself, I guess. That makes sense. That way Tanith can get started on Enna or kill the Sleep Bishop. That's a lot safer. I was worried Ike wouldn't be able to one-round, but I forgot that this is Radiant Dawn Ike. Yep, kill that guy. Only one used Javelin left, though, at this point, I think. Because that Javelin had 3 uses. I don't know where they're going to go now. You would think in front of Enna, but I guess they're just... Yeah, I guess they're doing that. Hopefully the general attacks first. Nope, Enna goes first. Doesn't hit her. 7 damage, and it breaks, right? Yeah, it breaks. Unfortunate. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But I do gotta make up, like, every single second they can after that. Outrageous Serenus Forest. Thanks, Toronio, for distracting the Swordmaster. Now Ike can move through a little bit. Again, Tanith could go back and help out, but why would she when there's a boss to work on? Nice crit on his general. Don't have to worry about him going to the next phase. I don't know how much damage Enna does to Tanith, but it can't be more than, like, 20, right? Ike goes here, gets a free kill on our Myrmidon. And he should be on the C's range in 1 or 2 turns. Says hi to Enna, even though they've already been here for a while. And they're going to go with what I'm assuming is the Silver Lance or the Kill Lance. 15 damage. Interesting that they didn't decide to attack there, but I guess they're worried about the Elixir. Enna has a lot of healing, by the way. That's the most time-wasting thing about Enna. Is not only does she have Miracle to survive, but she also has an elixir that she just loves to use whenever possible, and that she has Boon and Throne healing, so a lot of healing animations going on there. And it makes it really unpredictable how much HP she will be at after, you know, a turn. But it's not like there's a lot of time pressure on them besides the race itself. Like, they don't have to finish before Toronio wakes up or anything. It would be really funny if Toronio automatically woke up and caused a penalty to occur. And by really funny, I mean really tragic. Yeah, Ike is going to move up, I assume. I don't think he can seize from there, but maybe he can. Anyway, they're going to go for it. Take 16. gets hit, and Miracle down to 2 HP. Miracle, if you're about to die, but the Miracle procs, the damage gets halved. But here there's no way to save Anna, so she dies. I think technically Miracle could have saved her. She got really lucky, like reduced damage to 1 and then 0. I don't know, but either way, Ike has got it, killed Anna. Now I just have 1 turn left and they can seize. And our timer is at 321. So it's probably going to be around 322 that they seize after all this enemy movement. Or probably what times they start at, I swear. Here we go, they seize at let's say 322, right? And they started at 314, meaning this whole chapter took them like 8 minutes. 8 minutes compared to like, what, like 15 minutes for us or something? And again, it's another significant time gain that they got here. So yeah, I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that Tanith is good. I just want to emphasize just how much of a difference the flight makes, especially when you have good plans for it. Alright, we're doing Clash, and I think it's about time that we check back in on 5-fanged offense. So the chapter where Elincia is force deployed, Ike has to seize the throne ASAP, and they don't have a whole lot, but they do have Morim and Reese. So actually they do have a whole lot, and Raisin as well. They're feeling everyone. I think they got Castle behind the wheel, and I really want to slow the footage down, but it's Clash, so you know I gotta speed it up. But for the turn 1, I think we can afford to slow down a little bit. So they, I believe, also have boots on Ike ever since chapter 16, and they're gonna make some good use of it. And given what they feel, that I think you have a good idea of what's happening here. So they have to get all the way to Bertram through all these nasty enemies, and you don't want them to get to Elincia. That's the hardest part of Clash, is finishing before Elincia dies, or like not dying to the many enemies that are around the throne. Oh my god, that's a slow Vigor. Holy crap, we're gonna speed that up a little bit. Just a little bit. Alright, so they do a Smite with Morim. Surprised they got Smite, actually. It's in a house in Telegra that I don't think is necessarily easy to get, but you know, I figured they thought it was worth it. So Reese goes here and uses a Rescue Staff use on Ike. They've used one before, as evidenced by the 2 uses left. And now Ike is like teleported like a full turn's movement worth forward into the map. And Reese is not in any danger considering how good he is, right? I mean, I hope anyway. So here comes Ike, equips that Forged Silver Sword you can get at this point. And they do actually have Elincia drafted, I believe. No, I think that's the other team that has it. Elincia rescues... Oh, I guess they do have Elincia then. Yeah, we get... I missed her in route 1 somehow. Yeah, so Elincia rescues Raisin out. And now Reese is free to just fight all these enemies all alone. We're going to speed that part up, of course. But just look at how far ahead Ike is compared to... This is turn 1. Turn 1, Ike is already fighting the Wyvern stat. I mean, they're not near the gates, but they're quite nearby. Okay, so it's turn 2 player phase. And Ike is running at the gate. He has 1 more turn of movement to make it there. I'm assuming these 4 paladins can't move in a way that blocks him, especially considering Ike can kill. You might have also noticed that Ether animation, they did give Ike Ether, something we did not decide to do. I don't remember if Dart did it, but it looks like it worked out quite well for them. There's a lot of bosses late game that Ike just cannot one round, even with really good stats. So just having a chance to just proc Ether and murder them, also providing a bit of extra sustain for Ike is nice. But ooh, these paladins are getting really close to the bottom right corner. Pulled in by Tyronio and Morim being there. I had a different solution for this map that involved keeping these paladins in the top right with a secondary combat unit that you probably had to use anyway because of the route map that was the previous map, the Eat Rock chapter. And I would use a unit to just distract those. Or in our case, we just used Devdon to do that while Ike went for the throne. And not that our clash was good, like far from it. But this is quite dangerous. If the Morim and their other units cannot dispose of those enemies, Elincia is in major danger, especially if she's holding Raisin still. But first we have to watch Ike just crush through all these enemies. His strength is probably fine-ish now. I don't know how many levels they got after promoting already. It looks like it's level 20, so they must have bexed him up. But at this point, you can also just naturally get a capped Ike, of course. But damn, you wish he had 2 range. Anyway, nice boots. Goes for Bertram. 21 times 2. He has an elixir though, so I don't know if I agree with this attack here. You could just wait and enemy phase him. No, wait, he has a vulnerary. Anyway, Elincia moves away from the enemies. There's no way to block these high move enemies, but Morim is going to get a 1-round KO on this left paladin, and that should be enough to keep him away. Tony goes for a kill lance crit, doesn't get it. And Reese does not return to base, but decides to keep attacking. double Sword Masters, so my misgivings about his speed were wrong. Or they got RNG Blessed. One of these two things is true. End turn. Hold up, I'm gonna slow it down a little bit. Gotta have the suspense. And Bertram uses a Vulnerary to heal back to 20 HP. Paladin moves for Tyronio. And gets Kill Lance back in return. That's one down. And oh no, the Bow Paladin reaches Valencia and attacks once and attacks twice and she's dead. That's a game over. You can see Sal is not happy about this one. That is unfortunate. She's force deployed. Nothing you can do except try to keep the enemies away from her. Or train her in the chapter itself, I guess. Whew, that really sucks. Now, if this was a clash like we had, where we took forever to get to the gate, I didn't show you this because you don't need more clash footage in your life. But like that only took them like what, 5 minutes into the chapter before they had to reset. That could be a lot worse. I've seen worse things happen in Clash for sure. And now, you know, they're warned not to do this thing again with Valencia or find some way to distract it. What I would do in their case is like to send Warm to the top right corner or something and have them fight enemies there. Then the enemies that come down, like the Paladins especially, the smite on Tyronio. Oops. Shit happens. I don't think the smite is actually that relevant, but they're gonna get a shove with Tyronio now. It's like, I'll shove you. I'll show you who you need to shove. That is funny. I make those type of mistakes all the time when I'm like after a reset in draft racing. I just get so annoyed. But because Ike gets so far in turn 1, they don't lose that much time from it. Our clash was just Ike with no boots walking there all the way, and it was horrible. And he also got blocked a bunch of times by enemies. It was so shit that I don't even want to show you. But it happened, and it was way worse than what happened here. Anyway, I want to move on to the final bit of highlights, because it's getting quite long already. So, we are in the end game now, and of course, as you know, for the end game, all you have to do is get Ike up to Ashnard, who on normal mode does not move, and so you have to walk up the balcony or fly up the balcony, depending on your personal preferences, and get in there. And I mean, Ike is basically invincible as long as you take care of his HP. He has Wrath Resolve at this point, as long as you took care to get the chests for both. And you really just want him to get hit enough to get hit in Resolve Wrath range, but not so much that he dies. But since he has like 50 to 60 HP at this point, that is not super difficult, especially with the defensive bonuses from the Ragnell. So what they are planning is quite intricate. They have Reese here being smited to the middle. If you just saw Clash, so you probably know what's about to happen here. They're planning to go through the middle of the map. For my planning, I thought the sides would be faster. Looks like they forgot to field someone that they wanted to use here, or like change the starting position. I thought the middle was a bit of a trap because there's a Sleep Bishop at the top of the map, like right below the ledge where Ashnard resides. That with the Sleep Ike, and he can get blocked by all the dragons there. So my team goes for the sides, and I know that the team with my Dart will go on puts a lot of stock into Tabarin helping Ike get up there. So everyone has a bit of a different strategy for this one. They probably thought about it more than I did. I went for a keep it simple, stupid kind of thing for endgame that I thought worked, but I didn't time it. I guess I should time it a little bit. So they're starting at this at 519. I'm going to write that down. Endgame. What's this team called? FFO 519-2. I'm not going to count the reset because that's obviously kind of mean. Sorry, just checking some ranges. And you also have to like guaranteed fight Bryce, whereas if you go through the sides, there's like a chance you can avoid him, or it takes him a while to get to you, I guess. I don't know, maybe it's better to get him out of the way right away because he has cancel. I think the skills call something different than in Path of Radiance, but it does what cancel does in FE9. He just runs away straight up after getting hit by Ike. That's funny. He has the Wishblade, so just like a fair amount of damage to you, which I guess can be a good thing if you're trying to get in resolve range, so maybe it's not all that bad. I'm still in two minds about this. The Paladins pose no threat at all. The only enemies that can really hurt Ike are Ashnard, Bryce, and the dragons. That's basically it. And I guess the dragons you can use the Lagoose Guard if you want, but item slots are a bit of a premium at this point. I like to have a couple elixirs for, you know, getting healed up if you're getting low. Ashnard can take quite a while if you get unlucky, so I just packed 2 full use elixirs that you can buy at this point. A Vulnerary to manage my HP without getting out of resolve range, and then the Pure Water to avoid getting slept or avoid getting like nuked by mages. But maybe one of those can be cut for the Lagoose Guard or Night Ring if you got that from Ulkir Yanaf. Clearly no team got the Night Ring, which I'm really sad about. I had some good plans for getting the Night Ring. So They're just chewing through these paladins here. I think I have it at 2 speed already. I do not, so let's do that. But yeah, Ike is going to get to the middle part, and oh, the bishop uses the Ashira staff to heal up everyone. At least I think that was what, it's either that or the, no, it's the Fortify actually, not Ashira staff. Ashira staff is what you get earlier in the game. Here we go. I guess Reese can help with that dragon in any way, so they just go for this. They're just attacking to get in resolve range. I do think this is in sleep range for the bishop. Like from a starting position, he reaches about the tile that, I think the tile where the dragon is, so that they have to dodge a sleep here. They do, fortunately for them, otherwise that would be a huge time cost. Unless they put Restore on Reese. If they did that, they're geniuses. If they had Restore on Reese to solve that problem, because certainly he's in range. Okay, they got the resolve range, that's good for them. And if the tile stays free, they can run around the general to get to what's-his-face, the sleep bishop, and just dispose of him. And Reese got a depth, I think, which is a trigger thing you're seeing, which saves some animation time sometime, I guess. If they attack on player phase against enemy that can counter. I think that's a bit rare, but the adept scroll is not that far out of the way, right? It's like in a house somewhere. No, it's dropped by a halberdier in the 17.4. Bryce gets healed again by this bishop priest. Whatever. Tabarn just came in. Okay, Ike kills the bishop. It looks like they're preferring to go through the right side of the endgame chapter. And Reese comes in. Oh god. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Reese. No. Why would you do him like that? That's so mean. He could have healed Ike. And Bryce gets healed again. You know, it's messy, but at least Ike is up there in resolve range. Like, what more could you want? The sleep bishop is dead. Reese is dead. I told you he'd die at some point. Like, this is why I picked him for them, so they could die. Kill, kill, kill. Let's fast forward to Ashnard, shall we? Oh, they do like a little silly thing here by blocking the bottom point. I don't know what they're trying to achieve with this, but they're blocking it with Enna, and they had Enna transform, which is a bad idea. Don't let Enna transform because her animations are so slow. What you can do with Enna is you can give her the demiband at the start of the chapter, which I guess they needed for Moirim, but I think you get a second one. But even if not, like, just don't bother with Moirim or don't transform him, whatever. Give Enna the demiband, and every now and then just like use the demiband to transform and untransform, which will reset her gauge to 0 and stop her from transforming on enemy phase, which stops wasting your time, because then she doesn't get the attack animations. She'll still like get hit and heal and stuff, but she'll die quickly. You can't undeploy Enna in the final chapter. Otherwise, I mean, you would if you could. But yeah, Ike is getting up these stairs. Okay, so this turn they're coming up on Ashnard, and they're at 29 HP. Average Ike takes about 27 from Ashnard, and I think they're still poisoned. So they will probably have to heal. I don't know if they brought a Vulnerate, but if not, they're going to have to Elixir in phase of Ashnard, which is generally expected, I think. Can't really do anything fancy with him. Yep, takes 26 out of their 28. So they attack their toasts. They do have a Vuln, but they decide to Elixir. I guess they thought they might die if they Vuln. So they get hit for 26, which should be half. And there's Wrath Resolve, and they get the crit instantly. Ending endgame at 533.22. Very well done. 533. So that's about a 14-minute endgame. And this is our endgame strategy. It's as fancy as I've made it sound. You deploy Ike, you move him to the left all the way, and then you have Raisin do a little chant right beneath him. Then Ike moves full move every turn until he's at Ashnard, and everything in his way will die. It's a pretty good strat, and Enna runs away. Note the fancy camera movement by Klaire. Experienced Radiant Dawn speedrunner here, everyone. I don't know if she's actually ever speedrun any percentage Radiant this game, but I know she likes Tellius a lot. So yeah, Bryce still moves towards us. Might end up at Enna instead. I don't know. But you saw the little demiband trick, right? You saw what we did there to make sure that she doesn't die. But like the reason I went with this strategy is this is not a chapter I put a lot of time in. So we said just don't put an extra dude on the map that can make things complicated. Just move Ike around. I think we could have even done full move here if we're not going to kill this feral one in one round. Just end turn and just make things happen, let things happen. If Raisin dies to an enemy, oh no, anyway. Less things to worry about. We don't need them anymore. It's fine. And it just ends up at Ashnard eventually. So here we are, approaching from the left side. I'm not sure if there's a difference between the left wing and the right wing on this map. But here we are. One turn away, but I think we might have to heal. We have 25 HP. We're not going to take a hit from him. So we just heal to 35. Actually, would knock us down in resolve range, and he does. Do we crit? We do crit, ending it at 4:39:37. So about a 12-minute endgame. So about 2 minutes faster than 5-fanged offense. So I think the fastest one might be Myret will go on, honestly. Let's check that one out. So they're here at around 4:47-ish. Starting here with Joffrey deployed, so they plan to do something with him. And they also have Enna coming. No, I see no Demiband here, so either they don't know the trick or they don't think the trick is good. And they just have Ike waddle through the middle with Joffrey following close behind. Curious what the plan is here, but I'm guessing they want the ability to clear out enemies with Joffrey so that Ike can move full move if possible. And even if if Ike doesn't want on something, I guess Joffrey can come in and chip it and then run away and I can kill it. I don't know. Just speculating here, but I do know they had some kind of plan with Tibarn, but I never took a close look at what it was. I like how most of the dragons in Path of Radiance's endgame, I seem to only move like 4 or 3 tiles at a time, even though I think they have more than that. I think they have they might have 4 and they move 3. They do seem to have called Tibarn, I think. Oh, they're gonna block a side and just have Ike move straight past. It does help that they have boots for Ike for sure. I do think this tile is either one below bishop range or in bishop range. Anyway, here comes the sleep bishop and he misses, so that's good for them. And Bryce is gonna try and murder Enna. Enna takes like no damage from mages, so that's not gonna do it. That paladin just stopped idle in front of Ike. I think that might have been a bow paladin that did that. It's very unfortunate they got clocked like that. But I guess it stops these enemies from attacking now, and I can sell by a Swordmaster. We'll probably transform during the next turn if they do nothing about it. Here comes the barn. And Enna does transform, okay, and starts healing. And Ike is going to have to... I think they pure watered, and Tibarn is coming in. So the reason Tibarn is appealing, I think, is because he can help Ike fly over the ledge that Ashnard is chilling on. But I felt like doing that while avoiding the sleep range and not getting stuck was just so difficult. But there's probably a plan that makes it work. I'm just not sure if they have a plan or if they're improving or not. And I can't check their audio because their audio is copyrighted. Also, their thing is off a little bit to capture. Why does it look like that? There we go. That's a bit more palpable. So the barn goes there to the corner. Ike takes a step back, but is still in the choke point, I believe, so that the 2 range enemies kind of get to Barn. It's not that he needs protection, but, you know. Okay, he tries to get sleeped and missed. Second long-range magical attack that Tibarn just doesn't give a shit about. And Ike starts killing things. We'll see how long it takes for that point to get clogged. If there's a dragon, he might. I think they might suffer from not getting in resolve range soon enough, but there's only a couple enemies that can do that. And with Bryce being on Enna, there's not a whole lot here that can damage Ike besides like maybe that one dragon that's over there. But hey, clearing out the generic enemies is fine anyway. I don't think they mind it very much. Not entirely sure about Joffrey doing all this. He's probably about to die if he doesn't get lucky. And Enna just kills the Swordmaster. Like, I don't know. I think I'd better have most of these enemies either not fight or fight Ike. Rip Joffrey. Or as they call him, Geoffrey. So now enemies will start coming in behind Tibarn and Ike. Not that they mind. We'll see if it costs them a lot of time or if their plan is ultimately better. See, the great thing about draft rating is if you see someone else do something that works out better, you just steal their strategy and use it against them next time. Alright, I think Enna might be it. Although Miracle might come in to save her. Let's slow it down a little bit for Miracle. See if it happens. Go from 2x speed to 1x speed, so excuse the massive slowdown. As I mows through a couple more enemies. There we go, I fixed the issue. Okay, looks like Enna avoided death. And here comes a dragon. Dies. Goodbye, Enna. I'm so sorry. But hey, at least now you stop wasting the time. Okay, that's the last enemy, so the point is free, so now Tabarn can move up. They probably want to kill the Sleep Bishop first. Okay, that's good. And then I guess this is the turn where Tabarn rescues. Alright, seems good. So this is only possible if you go through the middle, I think, which makes sense. So now the enemies are aggroing towards them, but they won't be in time to stop Tabarn from dropping Ike off at the top, which is the key, I'm sure. So Ike goes there. Tabarn will fight a couple paladins, but I'm sure that's worth the price, given that it's only turn 6 now. And Ike is probably not afraid of Ashnard at this point. He's not in Wrath Resolve yet. 36 HP. Either way, you'd have to get tremendously unlucky for your Ike to die here, I think. So Ike just sits, right? You could Vuln, I guess. I don't know if that matters or not. I don't think they have a Vuln on them. Killing a Bow Paladin makes sense. I think Tabarn uses Run Away, something. Just fly where nothing is. Or kill a Paladin, that's probably fine too. There's probably some way to save time with Tabarn here. A minor amount of time. And Ashnard goes for Ike. Misses. And Ike only gets a 9 damage hit in, which is going to get healed by Renewal, because Ike cannot attack safely next turn. So completely useless turn, unfortunately for them. And turns in this chapter cost, I think, about 1 or 2 minutes a piece. So if that makes up the difference, then we know to subtract that to evaluate their plan versus ours. Well, mine. It's my plan and it was a bad plan, probably. I have a bad feeling about my plan here. So we started at 4:47, and right now the timer just went over 5 hours, which means they're about 13 minutes in. So it's close. They cannot attack the boss. They can attack the paladin, sure. Probably just run Tabarn down at this point, right? I mean, it doesn't matter, because Ike is gonna... You'd rather have Tabarn fight the paladins than Ike at this point. Ashnard goes first, though. Gets the hit. Resolve, crits, ends the timer. 5:01.5, I guess. So... Our times for endgame are about the same, but given that they got a miss from Ashnard, I think it's safe to say that Dart definitely had the better plan for endgame here. So definitely many improvements to be made to my plan. It's pretty close. It's about a minute, maybe 2 minutes difference. But I do like the idea behind it. If you optimize it further with like Enna and everything else, yeah, pretty good. Of course, as you can see by the timers in the bottom right of your screen right now, you'd know that the race is not as close as this highlight reel made it look. These were the races from Path of Radiance only start to finish, so they do not factor in the differences between the teams for FE8, which was 30 seconds between Deliberate Bunga and My Dart Will Go On, favoring us a little bit. And then Five Fanged Offense was about 30 minutes behind after that disastrous run-in from Gilliam versus Orson. And unfortunately did not seem to make up the time that they had lost. But there's still a lot of hope, because the FE7 and Awakening combined normal draft race, so not SOYO, but regular picks, but from 2 games at once, will happen. Right now, the date is December 7 from the top of my head, and that will be the final determining factor of who wins the grand relay draft race event. Thanks to everyone who participated. There were a lot of things I wanted to throw in here that I didn't. Among others, there were a lot more highlights that I wanted to include. Particularly this chapter that I'm showing right now had a lot going on. But, you know, I feel like I should give you guys a reason to watch the original videos as well. So go check out all the links in the description to the streamers that streamed these. Of course, you can watch the VOD on my channel as well for our perspective of the Deliberate Bunga. But you can check out, I think it was... Gluecks who streamed their perspective, and so Sal streamed Five Fanged Offense. Check that out. And you can check out Wolfstrike for the full VODs of all perspectives if you'd rather watch all 3 at once. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for your patience as I got this video out. It was a lot of work, and a lot of work to practice for this as well. And now I'm going to focus on FE7, because that's going to be my part of the next race. I'll see you all next time. Bye!